Hello, welcome back to All For United. We are back for our, I say back, like we've been gone for ages, but we're back doing our first watch-along of the year anyway. We've not done one of these for a hot minute. I can't remember when the last one was. I think it was Europa League. Pretty sure it was a Europa League tie. If you've not watched one of these before, essentially, if me and Barry will just be on here talking absolute nonsense for the next 2 hours while reacting to obviously things that happen in the game. If you want to come on and have your say at half-time or full-time, we'll send the link over to you. Just drop us a message in the chat, drop me or Barry a message, whoever, and we will send you the link and you can come on and have your say, because ultimately we don't want just be the ones giving our opinion on the game. We want as many of you as possible to come on and talk about the game as well. So any questions, throw it in the chat. We will go through whatever within reason. We'll go through all the talking points there as well. But yeah, United Palace, Barry, how are we feeling about this one then? Because I never liked Palace away. For some reason, I don't know. We always struggled, seems to get over the line. The video came from my timeline earlier about the Matic goal, the late winner. I mean, I'd love another one of them today, but things like that. We've always struggled at this ground for me.
Yeah, I'm nervy about it, if I'm honest with you. It's one of those potential banana skins, isn't it? They've not been too bad this season, Palace. They've had some good results. They've held some good teams. And Patrick Vieira's no mug when it comes to getting his teams set up correctly. So by the looks of things, we're sort of playing a very similar formation. Will that cancel each other out? I'm not sure. I think my biggest issue was going to be what Eric decided to do with the team, who he decided to play and who he decided to rest. I know there are a lot of people thinking that some players should be rested because they might be on yellow cards and such like, and we don't want to lose them for the Arsenal game. My argument's always been the Arsenal game means nothing if we don't get 3 points here against Crystal Palace. So you kind of got to get those first and worry about those problems. And I think Ten Hag seems to have got that memo because he appears to have picked a team that definitely does that. For example, Casemiro's there, as is Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen. So the middle three are where we would want them to be. Anthony and Rashford playing. Rashford for me on the left, the best place for him. I've always appreciated him more there. We're going to see Woot for the first time. Woot, Woot. There he is. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is it Woot? Is it Wout?
I think you're right. You got me saying it. You got me doubting myself now. I'm just going to say Vegas because I know that's right. So I'm just going to go with that.
Bakakara, Connor. Bakakara.
I'm not saying that name again. I didn't say it at all, to be fair, last time. But there we
are. But yeah, so it looks pretty good. Back four's looking good. Nice to see Martinez back, along with Varane, Wan-Bissaka on the right, Luke Shaw on the left, and of course, Big Dave in between the sticks. So yeah, I'm quite content with that. It's a good team. It's as good as we could have put out. We've just got to hope the boys go and do it now.
I know what you just said there, talking about, if we don't win this, then Arsenal, if we beat them, means nothing as well. But it's a stronger line than I thought we'd go because we've got a game now, 2 games a week, I think, for the foreseeable now. I would have thought we'd have seen some rotation. I know Martinez has come in, obviously Vegas has come in, but I'm surprised to see Rashford. I'm surprised to see Casemiro because I'm pretty sure isn't he 1 yellow card away from a ban. So if he gets booked in this game, he's missing Arsenal. Now I'd argue that we need him more for Arsenal than we do for this game. So
we do, but I'm hoping that what he's done is to follow the advice that I would make most managers follow, which is get the goals, get the game in the bag first of all before you make the substitutions, rather than having the game just beyond your reach and then trying to make the changes by bringing the big guns on. Because you could argue that they're more likely to do something reckless and wrong when they're chasing a game than if they've had the ability to just dictate the game from the beginning. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. Of course, we're here for the next 90 minutes. I could be entirely wrong. And it might all go completely Pete Tong there. Some great stats coming up here. Palace have lost 4 of the last 5. We've won our last 5 Premier League games. The last 9 all competitions. Palace haven't scored in their last 2 Premier League home games. I hate these sort of statistics. They worry me. We're yet to drop a point from winning positions. You can just see all of this being the exact opposite by the end. So, yeah, not a fan of all those. But that boy there, Marcus Rashford, he's getting on the score sheet tonight, I'm sure of it.
I was going to say, what are you going for? What score prediction are you throwing out there at the start?
I think I've gone 2-0 with my friend's prediction league. So that's what I'm going for tonight, 2-0.
I'm not sure. I'd love to see us keep another clean sheet, but I just think maybe. I think Veghorst will score. I've got him down as outscoring Núñez for the season. So, well, not for the season. So obviously from now until the end of the season. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm hopeful for a 2-0 as well, but I just think we're going to concede. I just don't like this fixture. Every time you look at when you get the fixture list, don't you? You look at certain games. You look at where Liverpool is. You look at where City is. You look near your birthday. Is there any games near your birthday? For me, it's always FA Cup weekend. And I always look for this one, and weirdly Everton, because in the past under Ferguson we always used to struggle at Everton away as well. So yeah, it's a weird one. Since when did am I missing something here as well? Since when did Crystal Palace have Decore, or is that a different Decore? I think that's a different one.
I think it might well be. They like to do this. They throw some people out there because I genuinely thought that Ibrahimovic had scored for Bayern Munich at the weekend. It was a completely different one. So they do get these big names that make you go, oh, it's not the real one. It's not the real one. It's a Poundland one.
Yeah, no, it's not the Decore I was thinking of. He's still at Everton. I was going to say, when did that happen? I know I've been out of the loop for a little bit, but
no, I don't want to be that guy. But look, you're literally kicking at the same time. Yehuda's got us. Me and Yehuda, we're on that wavelength.
We'll see. I'm not entirely convinced of a clean sheet, but like I said, I'm very happy to be proved wrong. To be honest, I just want a Veghorst goal. I just think that will just kickstart everything for him if he can get off the mark early, especially in a game like this. What's our bench looking like? So we have got the Elanga, Palestri, Garnacho trio that we were debating on Monday night's show. If you did see it, we were talking about Amad Diallo, but obviously we were talking about our other youngsters in similar positions, and I feel like they're in battle with each other for their future at United, personally. Because as I said on Monday, you can't keep all of them. So you've got Garnacho, the three that I've just named, Garnacho, Elanga, and Palestri on the bench there. Ahmad's come back in. For me, there's just too many players there. Yes.
I think Elanga started really well, didn't he? And then he's just sort of gone off the boil. He doesn't seem to have the same sort of impact in games as he was having. Whereas, Garnacho at the moment, he's in his purple patch. He is having that opportunity to affect the game, and none more so than the Manchester derby. I mean, just the maturity that he showed for that cross in for Rashford. He could have so easily, once he had crossed the ball, it was a poor first cross, let's be honest, it rebounded back to him, but he had the opportunity to pass it back, as most people I think probably would have done, but he just had it in his head, hang on, I know where Rashford is, and that little turn and then immediate cross, just perfect. It kept Rashford just onside. If he'd have been a millisecond later, Rashford would probably have been offside. So perfect. Loving what Che's doing.
Something I have just seen. I know this is the men's channel. We're talking about the men's side, but after a great loan game at the weekend, Grace Clinton, who, if you follow the women's team, she scored on a debut for Bristol City. She's on loan there. She has got a red card tonight in her game against Lewes in the Conti Cup. So a tale of two games.
Yeah, in that an early night, obviously.
So I don't know what's happened there. Second yellow, it says here. So Grace Clinton, red card in her. I mean, that's unbelievable. Hopefully,
it is unbelievable, Jeff. You're not kidding.
But,
well, that will be interesting to find out why that's happened and what she's done. But yeah,
Yehuda's saying not so excited about the Veghorst signing. I mean, I can see why. His time at Burnley certainly wasn't anything good to go off. When you're looking at his. We have just kicked off, by the way, if you are watching us instead of the game. My advice would be put us on the side, have the game on in the background, and we can be your extra commentary for the game. But yeah, I can see why, because his time at Burnley just wasn't great. I think he scored 2 goals in 20, didn't he? So, but I think you only have to look at a player like Sebastian Haller at Ajax and what Ten Hag did for him.
Yeah, he did all right internationally as well, didn't he? So,
and I think that's the thing. If Ten Hag wants him, we've got an early cross in towards Veghorst, which is headed away. I think we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of crosses into the box.
Well, he's a big boy, isn't he? He's not small. He's got a touch of the Peter Crouch about him in terms of the height in the box, which will be quite nice. Because I don't think we really had that for a very long time. Someone as tall as that. for getting the ball in the box. Can you think of somebody in our front line that's been as tall as he seems to be?
If we're talking about crosses, though, just something that's just sprung to mind with Anthony on that right-hand side, he's going to have to use his right foot if he's putting crosses in for the most part, because he's going to be overlapping. So he's going to have to start using his right foot to put some crosses in. Otherwise, he's cutting back on his left. Something again we debated. I think it was on Sunday night's review show with Anton. They were discussing Anthony and using his right foot a little bit more, because it is very predictable at times. Him coming in off the left.
Yeah, he's nothing worse than a predictable player. It makes it too easy to run the ball back there. What do you think to old Luke Shaw's resurgence?
It's pretty incredible, isn't it? I think I was watching a video on him earlier. The fact that he can play centre half, he looked comfy. He pocketed one of the best strikers in the world right now in Haaland. That's no easy feat in a position that's not your own as well. When he's done well. So yeah, Luke Shaw. I think we've got a few players, haven't we, that seem to be kind of in the form of their life right now. Obviously with Rashford, with Shaw. The fact that Luke Shaw benched Martinez, a Ten Hag signing, in the biggest game of the season. Exactly. And an £80 million Harry Maguire, to play centre-back, I think just shows how well Luke Shaw's been playing, because, yeah, exceptional form that he's on. I just like him as a player. I just think, when we signed him last year, I thought, yeah, he's a good signing, but I still like Luke Shaw. I just think he's had some issues in the past. Clearly, obviously, his weight was a bit of an issue. I know that's a bit rich coming from me, but his weight was a small issue. He's been a bit open about that as well. But his form since then has been excellent.
And were you having kittens like I was? Because the minute I found out he was going to play centre half, I thought Eric had lost the plot entirely.
I was a little bit concerned, as I am here with Palace on the attack, purely because, as I said, it's a Ten Hag signing with Martinez.
What a reverse ball that was!
Bruno tried to play the ball in behind, but yeah, I think when you're benching one of your own signings and an £80 million club captain, by the way, you've got to have faith in that player to do a job there. It's and take a look at Wan-Bissaka as well on the other side. The resurgence of him as well, the performances that he's putting in. Everyone said he was a goner. Me included. I thought he was gone this window. To this team we're playing now, I thought he was going back to Palace, but here we are.
You do just kind of get the feeling there's something behind the scenes that's happening there, because these players that have missed out under previous managers, under like Mourinho, maybe under Solskjaer, Rangnick, all of these things have happened, but Ten Hag really seems to have sort of a nurturing situation, I suppose, going on behind the scenes, doesn't he? Because these guys aren't getting annoyed. They're putting the work in and they're coming back and they're putting in the performances above and beyond anything we've seen since probably just before the last days of Ollie, I suppose.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because Eric, for me, I mean, the job that he came into was probably one of the toughest. The start that he had to his managerial career with the issues with Ronaldo, obviously the issues at the start of the season on the pitch. Good evening to John, by the way. Just in his comment there. The issues obviously he's had on the pitch as well. You think back to right at the start of the season, the 2-1 Brighton loss and the 4-0 Brentford. To come back from that, and then obviously we beat Liverpool not long after that. We had the good wins against Spurs and Arsenal. He has turned it around. It does feel like, I know we did a debate on this over the weekend and on last week's show. I couldn't get my words out. Whether that fear factor's coming back to and I think it is. The longer we can get a winning run together, I think what we're on now is 6 or 7 wins in the league in a row now. We're putting a good run together. We're not just on an unbeaten run; we're on a winning run, and that's what Man City have been doing for years. Man City are capable of going on, obviously not this season, but capable of going on 15, 20 game winning runs. We need to be able to put something similar together. I think certainly if we're going to push for the title this season, which is still a little bit far off, in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw a lot of you trying to say that on a previous show, actually. I saw at the end you were talking about, are we in with a shout? Is the title race there? And this is why I say you've got to beat Palace first. It's no point having the chat about Arsenal until we've beaten Palace. And, that's by no means a given. But if we win this, we go to the game against Arsenal And I think if I've got my maths right, we're only going to be a few points behind if we win that game against Arsenal. And all of a sudden, although they'll have a couple of games in hand, it's a little bit squeaky bum for them because at the moment they've been too much at the top. I know we're sort of playing it a little bit. I'm calm, Connor. It's all right. They've not actually.
I'm not.
You're right. Don't worry.
Yeah, everyone's getting an insight into how I watch games. It was Bruno's just confident, just stop on the ball there, just letting him slide near him. I couldn't believe I was watching them.
Well, I'm just still trying to maintain my never swore on AFU, whether it be women or men's. I'm going to try and maintain that, and hopefully the boys will help us to do so.
That ball's in.
That's a great ball. Go on.
Look at Veghorst piling into the box. No,
he's going to have to because Rashi's too wide to shoot, surely.
Rashford's gone way too far. He tries to do it all on his own. That's the thing with me with Rashford. And people will know this on this channel. I've been very critical of him because I don't think he's at the level that some people think he's at. And that's partly why. I think he tries too hard sometimes to do things like that. And it's like that's either a simple, I say simple. Again, this is coming from me. You try and get a shot off into the far corner or taking, near post or so on, or you try and play that across the Veghorst. What you're trying to do there, you're just trying to take the man on the outside. And it's like you're already in the box. It's almost like he's acting like he's still 30, 40 yards away from goal. And it's just moments like that frustrate me a little bit.
Do you not think that's part of what Eric's done with him? Is to try and get him to have more confidence and to be more progressive going forward and to have the ability to try that. Do you think that maybe, someone like Rangnick might have been a little bit more level-headed like you and said, oh, no, you shouldn't be doing that. And that's just sort of detracted from his game because he doesn't feel confident. We all know a confident Marcus Rashford is going to do well because you talk about this winning run that we're in the league. Well, I'm pretty sure Rashford scored in almost all of those games on the trot as well. So as much as he's doing it, you can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket. So by the same token, unless he does those things, how's he gonna achieve it?
He's certainly on the best form of his life. There's no doubt in that. And I just, for me, if he wants to get to that next level, because I'm very cautious of using the word world class and throwing that out there for everybody. For me, if Rashford wants to get to world class level, just needs to shore up on his decision making just a little bit for me. It's a nice ball by Bruno. Oh, keeper spilled it. Veghorst is hustling and bustling. Can't quite get there, though.
Woots was a bit surprised there.
That was I, to be fair. I wasn't expecting to say anything. That's a good tackle by Martinez. And poor from Rashford. Yeah.
Wow, it's been a couple of moments down at each end now. People living on the edge.
I like it. I think we've settled into the game nicely. I don't think we've been on the back foot. We've been progressive. We've had a couple of chances now down this left-hand side, actually. We've seen Rashford getting on this left-hand side. Bruno, that's a really good ball, actually. Keeper's reacted pretty well to come across to that. But we've started well. We've certainly started, I think, the better of the two sides. We're always going to be a little bit more open when we're attacking the way we are. But certainly for the time being, I'm pretty content. What's John saying here?
He's gone for an essay. Let's see what it says.
Can't ignore the team right. I fully agree with that. McLaren in particular. I think somebody made the point, didn't they, that as a manager, quite poor. As a coach, excellent. I think that's definitely his role within the United setup perfectly. Absolutely. I think.
I mean, the manager can't do it all. I mean, even Fergie would put a lot of his success down.
That is a cracking ball.
Is he offside?
I hope so, because that was an atrocious finish.
Well, he actually hit the ball this time, so he has to be.
I think, he's way off.
Oh, and so is yeah.
Luke Shaw's wide open on that left-hand side again, though. That's the opportunity. That left-hand side can be got. I don't know who's playing a right back for Palace. I should know. Being the professional broadcast commentary team that we are.
Maybe nobody.
They've got Nathaniel Klein out there. Well, they should have, but they've not.
It is, yes, Nathaniel Klein. You're quite right. I was just checking my notes.
This is a professional broadcaster now.
Semi-professional. I don't get paid, so it's not going to be professional. Again, semi-professional. But where were we going with this? We were talking about somebody. Oh, that's it. Fergie would give a lot of the credit to Carlos Queiroz. He'd give it to Mike Phelan, the people that were in the assistant manager role, Steve McLaren. You know, he always gave a lot of kudos to those as well. And so I think he's quite right. It's not just going to be about Eric. It is about the whole team, and that's the whole point. Otherwise, you wouldn't bother employing these people, would you? What would be the point? You'd be sat there going, "Why are you here? It's just me." You're in an echo chamber. So that's the whole point. And I think absolutely, it's a team effort, and that's what we want to see.
No, I'd agree with that. It's like we've always said, across both channels here. The manager's only really there. Managers' jobs have changed over the years in football. They're not what they used to be. It depends, obviously, what club you're at as well and how much they want you involved. I know at Chelsea there's been a bit of change there in terms of what Todd Bowley wanted from a manager, why Tuchel wanted to leave.
He's got to go, ain't he?
What, Bowley or Potter?
It's got to happen, surely. Every week they have a rubbish result, and every week he's still there. I'm hankering for Roman Abramovich to come back because he wouldn't stand for this. He'd have had him out the door 4 games ago.
Well, there is a relegation, or what should I say? I was going to call it a sack off then, but that's not very PG, is it?
Too late, you've done it now.
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, I don't know why I went there. But the Everton game, I'm pretty sure haven't Everton got West Ham this weekend. Now, obviously, they're both struggling at the moment. You've got David Moyes and Frank Lampard there that are both struggling. So for me, I'm amazed that we've still got Potter, Lampard, David Moyes still in jobs in the Premier League.
Rodgers to a degree because Leicester haven't been great.
And and Rodgers at Leicester, especially because the Leicester fans still wanted him out even when they were winning. He's not won the fans over him by winning games.
Close.
I mean, John, that's a scary thought.
Howard Hughes has been on camera for the equaliser. Well, I can show you exactly what my equaliser looked like, my equaliser face when I saw it. It was this. Because I didn't know whether to cheer or what to do. It was complete silence because he was so far offside. You're thinking, well, there's no way this is going to count. I was sure that Rashford had kicked it. And where I was complete silence. They couldn't have the sound on because, unfortunately, I was at a Warner's holiday break, and I don't know, maybe it would have hurt all their hearing aids and stuff. But we couldn't have the sound on. So I didn't have a clue what was going on. And when I finally saw that they were going to be checking it for VAR, it's only then that you start seeing that Rashford doesn't touch the ball. And, oh, my goodness. I mean, it was the most delayed reaction ever. But, yeah, it was the winner that got me going. I was delighted about that one. I'm sure there's some people that needed medical attention after that. But John's nicked my question. I was going to ask you, Connor, because you're always good for a rubbish opinion. Did you think it was offside?
I don't know whether... Can you hear me or not? Because I'm breaking up and glitching all over the show here.
I can hear you very well.
Okay. Well,
loud and clear.
What did you ask me? Sorry. Do you think the goal...
Is it offside?
Is that John's goal?
Yeah, that question. Was it offside?
I mean, but by the way, the law, by the rules, he's not. They purposely brought this in to allow more goals. So, from that point of view, he's not. Not when like I said, if that's against us, 100%, I'm appealing that that's offside. I think that's the difference. I always try and look at things. If that was against us, how would you feel? Would you be appealing? There's a chance here for Eriksen.
Oh, he's not going to get the shot away. Wide, go on, Shaw. Pop it in. Up we go.
Trying to get it into Veghorst. Still got possession of the ball, though. We're just kind of pinging it in and around. That's an effort from Shaw. That's one of those sliced kind of off the outside of your boot half volley, isn't it, there from Luke Shaw? Reminded me of Pavard's hit in the World Cup a few years ago.
It had a nice little curve in as well there. He's called hit it with the outside of the boot as well. What a technique that is.
It does. That's really reminded me of Pavard's hit in the World Cup for France a few years ago, where he kind of hit it on that kind of half bounce like that, and it was just spinning into that far corner.
Yeah,
Very close, but it's another opportunity.
very much so, and a good one as well. And good to see that the ball's getting to the flanks and having that ability to cross the ball in. We're not afraid to do it, but also that we're passing the ball around the edge of the area as well. So Palace can't be fully sure whether we're putting it back to the edge of the area or whether we're going to whip it in for a cross. Oh, blimey, Martinez there taking like the MMA.
He's fully down at the moment, isn't he?
It's a proper elbow on the cheek. I can remember an elbow very similar to that on Gary Mabbott, and he had a face covering and all sorts going on after that. I mean, it's not quite as hard, but it was a proper crack to the cheekbone. Look at old Steve McLaren there, bless him, with his glasses down on his nose there, the professor. They're quite worried about him. They're holding his head and everything. This could be concussion protocols and all that sort of thing. We don't really want that. Who would you put on, Lindelof or Maguire, if we had to take Martinez off? Or is Malassi there and we could bring him on and shove Shaw inside?
That's another option. I think if you're bringing one of those two, it's Maguire. I think you've got to bring on the player that's played more recently, I think. I think Ten Hag's complaining about why is there no foul in that? Because the play was carrying on. They only stopped it because it was a head injury.
Yeah. He don't look right. He's having a bit of a... I'm not sure he knows where he is. He's like, is that Messi? Have we won it? That is a horrific elbow.
I was going to say, looking at the back, it should have been a foul, right? I know when you jump up, your arms naturally come up with you, but he's not jumping with his arms up there. He's swung that back.
Doesn't look great.
Yeah, not a good one there for Martinez. I
Not
wonder how long they'll add on for this. It's probably only add on a minute, even though he's been down for about 3.
Yeah. Well, he's sitting up, which is good, but they're still holding his head.
Certainly would shake you up, that.
He's getting a bit of wrapping around there. Looks like a bandage, but he's gone for a black bandage. So he's not gone for the old Terry Butcher days where it'd all just be white bandage around there, potentially with a little blob of red. He's gone straight in for matching hair colour. If he comes off, doesn't he miss Arsenal game? How many days is concussion protocol? Good question, John. I have to say, I have not really done much research into concussion protocol. Do you know much about it, Mr. Connor?
Just about to Google it and then pretend that I knew.
Okay, right. So I was Googling it. So while I was doing that, I'll just... I feel like it's about 7 days.
If a player is suspicious of having a sustained concussion, the player must be removed from the field. The player not allowed to return. But he is coming back on anyway, so this is a pretty redundant argument. But I do want to find out how long I think it is 7. Return to play guidelines. Here we go. Talking about assessments every 24, 48 hours. Oh, here we go. The player should not be allowed to return to play for at least 6 days after the injury.
1 day out. That wasn't bad. Like the 7th day being the day it happened.
So if that was a concussion, which obviously it doesn't look like it is because he's back on, yes, he would have missed Arsenal in answer to your question.
There we go.
Need to be mindful of that. Mindful of that. Mindful of Casemiro not getting a yellow card because we don't want to be seeing him missing the Arsenal game.
Yeah,
nice little bit of play from Palace.
Ooh, good header away.
Is that Casemiro on that right hand side then? Fernandes does love drawing fouls, doesn't he? It must be so annoying to play. I love Bruno, obviously, because he plays for us, but I imagine playing against him would be incredibly frustrating because he's always on the floor. That is a foul, but I can imagine it being really frustrating.
He does just wait for the touch and then go. To be fair, though, it's also chilly. It does hurt when you get these little knocks like that. It's true. It does. Mate, you've been playing football, right? a ball smashes you in the face, does it hurt more when it's cold or when it's a normal
Oh
weather?
no, for sure. I remember storming out of a training session once because of
Oh, well, there you go then, you see. So a
someone.
little kick to the back of the leg is going to hurt more in cold weather, and it is minus degrees again, than if it
I'll
was
never
a nice
forget it.
summer's day.
Someone kicked me in a ball and it hit the back of my thigh, and it proper stung because obviously it was one of those rock hard football, and that hurt. And I just remember storming off because I was like not participating in training now, which got me dropped for the next game, which I was surprised.
Well, yeah, manager's going to do that, Connie. You can't just walk off the pitch.
Yeah, I was a right terror trainer. I was an awful trainer.
Not a good trainer like Cartoon, no?
No. Not this again. No, I was never going to make it as a footballer. And knowing someone that semi-did, he doesn't anymore, but knowing someone who did play for a Premier League club, albeit that's a nice little
Go on.
attempt.
Oh! And that was with his left foot.
Moment.
Right.
That's another nice ball over the top. We're getting a lot of joy from those balls in behind.
Absolutely.
Out wide. Close enough. Nice attempt. I can't remember what I was saying.
Knowing somebody who's a semi-professional footballer.
Yeah, so having known someone who made it to Aston Villa and got to that level, that's albeit at Premier League 2, as it's called, under 23s. Just seeing the level, it's, if you think you're good at, and I always say this to people no matter what the sport is, if you think you're good at, your kind of local area, then you play at, county level, you think you're good at county, then you play regional, you go, okay, I don't fit in here. Then you play even higher, then you play in national, and it just gets harder and harder. And it's, seeing the level, it doesn't really come across on TV when you watch individual games, but when you see the behind the scenes of how hard footballers actually work, on themselves and everything else, it's certainly not comparing it to some other professions, but it's not as easy as some people think it is. That's for sure.
No, you're not kidding. I was with the Stevenage ladies last night, and my goodness, some of the running that they were doing. Oh, I did not like the strength and conditioning coach. He's the most lovely bloke you would ever want to meet. Really, really nice. But I watched him in that 15-minute session they were doing. We wouldn't have been friends by probably about 2 minutes into that, to be honest with you. I think that would have been enough for me. Forget being slapped on the back of the leg with a ball. That would have been enough. I'd have been like that walrus that was stuck up in Scarborough or whatever, just stuck on the side. Like,
Did you ever do the bleep test when that was? I know that's still a thing, but did you ever used to do that in your training session?
Yeah, and I made some of the kids at one of my schools do it. And they didn't like me when I did that either. So, yeah, it's I can confirm through the generations it's hated, despised.
That was always the worst.
It's no fun. It's no fun. That should only be for elite athletes, I feel. At schools, it's not not helpful. It just makes you realise how unfit you are. Plus, I had asthma as well. I was a well sickly child. It was no good at me at all.
I was going to say, I can't remember what I got back when I was fit and healthy, but it wasn't ridiculously high. That's Luke Shaw's gone in his head there.
Exactly. He didn't mind, did he? It's like, go on, mate, kick us.
Go on, whack us in the head. Certainly brave from Shaw. I wouldn't be going in my head there.
John's agreeing with us. Bleak test at school was awful. Really was.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you'd see people, like, obviously it gets faster and faster, doesn't it? You see people at the start just strolling across, like, and everything else, and you start increasing it more and more.
Go on. No, he's not going to get to that.
A little bit slow. But you see it more and more, that's when it really starts to. I can't remember what score I got to. I'd love to know now. Anthony's starting a fight.
Oh, yeah. Nothing unusual there. Nice little shout. I was going to say, I don't think it's called the bleep test. It's not actually the bleep test because you have to change direction before every bleep. It's because of the words that were coming out of people's mouths needed to be bleeped.
It certainly is when you start getting up to the to the upper echelon. I think we should do it an All for United bleep test. Let's see who.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? Let's see if we can get that arranged. Let's see how far people can go.
Well, I mean, it depends. You're gonna have to come down to Stevenage because there's no way I'm travelling to just do, one width.
Oh yeah, back in my teenage tennis years, I think I could do it quite comfortably. But certainly not now. That's a nice back heel from Anthony to Wan-Bissaka. It's headed away again. Crosses just aren't on point at the moment. We've had a few headed away, a few over the top of everybody.
They're in the right spots, just nobody's connecting to them. That all came from the Anthony handbags. I mean, there was no need for him to react in the manner that he did, but it sort of seemed to get under their skin a little bit because we won the ball immediately back. And like you say, crossing from the right, then another cross in from the left, but not quite where we want people to be. But it's encouraging, very encouraging. And, well, John, yeah, you're not wrong. It has been known.
What was interesting from Luke Shaw's throw in that most people try and shuffle up the line, don't they, to get a bit of, a few more yards on your throw in to try and get a bit further up the pitch. Luke Shaw was going the other way then. He was taking steps further back, like towards the halfway line, which was
well, that's Luke Shaw for you. He doesn't need those extra gains. Oh, cheeky little back heel there.
How do you think Veghorst has done then? First 30 minutes or so. He's not had too much to do, has he, really? He's had a couple of half crosses into him, but...
I mean, just looking at the stats that come up, Palace have done not a lot. 3 shots from us, but Veghorst's not been one of them who's done it, really, is he? He's been in the right positions, but he's still getting used to what we're trying to do and how we're going to feed the ball to him. So, encouraging start, but we're going to need to see him be a little bit more mobile in that area, I would think. Because he's had a couple of chances where the ball's around him and he hasn't really reacted to it. I'm getting a bit annoyed here with Anthony and his confidence.
Anthony and Bruno having a go at each other here. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind them as long as it's not Kieran Dyer and was it Lee Bowyer that were fighting on the pitch for Newcastle.
Yeah, very true.
As long as it's none of that. But I don't mind a bit of that because it was a poor passage of play there. Both had the ball over that side. And it was.
But Anthony's just, I don't know why he's getting himself so worked up. He was worked up with the other player as well, and he just needs to calm down a bit. Otherwise, he's going to be getting in the book soon.
John's talking about Selhurst Park, and so I think I agree, especially because I think Selhurst Park, as a stadium anyway, atmosphere-wise, just always does well. I think if anyone's been there or been in the away end or in the home end at Selhurst Park, it certainly is a good.
It probably is the same one. The only change is that they put the aeroplane seats into the manager's dugout, isn't it?
It is interesting when you see certain stadiums, don't you? You see like the different types of seats that they've got on the dugout. Some have like just the plastic seat, like at Old Trafford. If you go to them, they are quite comfy. If anyone's on the stadium tour, but you see somewhere they've got the full-on like almost gaming chair-esque like seats on the go. So bit of push and shove. Zaha's always in.
Zaha's not happy now.
He's always in the wars, isn't he? On Zaha.
But he's another one of those. But he's a wizard on the ball, so it's going to happen. But to be fair, he is just on the wrong side of Shaw there and trying to push him off balance a bit. So you can't be too upset with that.
How old is he, Zaha? He's got to be in his 30s now.
No, I don't think he's that old.
He's not long-term 30. A chance of Veghorst.
Over the top. That's the best moment. That was tight.
That was the chance right there.
It really was. It was a looping header rather than a bullet header. Just didn't quite manage to get. It was underneath it, really, rather than meeting it on the run. But that was really close.
It's a great ball by Shaw. It's funny, isn't it, with Veghorst, for the height that he's got, he's not actually that good in the air, which you don't usually see for players of his height because a lot of the time they are putting cross into him. He's not actually that good with his head. If you watch him throughout his career, a lot of his goals come from on the ground. So he's an interesting player, isn't he? Because we are putting a lot of crosses in. That's the first time he's managed to get on the end of it with some menace towards goal. But maybe another one here with Wan-Bissaka on the right, playing along the floor this time.
Go on, Rashi. No, he's gone away from it. No, that's
tried too much
should have
again.
passed the ball there. Yeah, all right. Chill out, Connor. And you were right. Zaha turned 30 a couple of months ago. So, ready for you. Well done. So, yeah, he is 30 years old. He still seems like that fresh-faced 18-year-old that we bought from Palace and then realised we didn't want.
That was only to stop Arsenal from getting him, though. I'm still convinced we only signed him just because Arsenal were linked with him and we just did it to stop them getting him.
Well, I'm not convinced he would have made a massive difference to Arsenal. But there we go.
That's
well left.
Gee, he's pulling all over him there.
He is. Just smashed it in his face there. It's like bowling.
Oh dear.
Ooh, that's going to be a foul. Yeah.
That's going to be a booking as well, I'd have thought.
Oh, don't book him for that. No way. Who made you referee?
Has he booked him or not? I don't think he has. Good.
Never a booking. Not really. He's clearly going for the ball. Not his fault that Zaha was a bit twisty-turny there. This is one of those tricky free kicks. It's one of those places where, you know, they're obviously going to go for an in-swinger, try and get it towards the far post. Just all depends on who gets there first. But nice to see our man Woot is at the back. Getting involved, adding his height to the sitch. Bit of head
just picking around. There
he
is.
Use his head. Like Peter Kay. Have it!
He's backed out of that challenge, though.
Nice little touch.
Ooh.
You know, when we get the counter, we look really, really good, but the counter was just blocked there.
I'd love a goal before our time just to settle things down because it's been a bit frantic. We've had a couple of chances. Obviously, the Veghorst header over the bar has been the best of a few chances, but there's one line up here with Fernandez. Oh,
No.
That was always going wide.
Worth a try, but
Veghorst made the run. It's always one of those. If you see the ball's bouncing before it's even crossed the line on the far side, so it was never gonna trouble.
Just didn't get enough of it. But you know, look, so far 0-0. We've not conceded yet, which was your biggest fear. And I don't want to do the old commentator's curse, but we haven't looked like conceding yet either, really. You know, they don't appear to have had a shot. So I think if you're Eric, you're taking this, ain't you, so far?
I'd say so. We're still in the game, like we're away to some Champions League side, but
it's the mighty Crystal Palace.
But if you look at games gone past at Palace, we have conceded in the first half.
Exactly.
We've had to do it the hard way. Bruno needs to be leaving now, really. I don't know whether there would have been a call from Rashford, but Rashford's right behind him there with nobody on it. And Bruno's tried to nod it across goal. It's a bit...
There wasn't really anybody there for him to nod it across to, though, was there? Which was a bit of a shame.
Hey, we've got Eriksen at left back here and Luke Shaw in midfield. What's going on here?
Cheeky little change about. So,
he stayed out there.
To do next. Yeah, Eriksen's actually telling him to go there. They're taking the mickey out of Zaha here, aren't they? Like, look, we're just going to stick this guy here left back, crack on. It's actually got up forward. This is the craziness of I've never seen the like. I feel like Wayne Mardle. I can't spake.
Yeah, because Eriksen does keep telling him to stay up there, doesn't he?
He does. What is he doing? He's like, hello, come to me, Zaha. Oh, there you go, ball goes. Love that. We are winding them up.
Luke Shaw's playing as a defensive midfielder now. What's going on? That's a nice little bit of interchange.
He's giving him a free roll.
Oh.
Is that what's happened? Is he giving him a free roll?
Oh, here we go. Now we get to test Eriksen's defensive capabilities.
And
Look at
he's
that.
passed with flying colours. Luke Shaw came down to help his mate, though. Fair play. Oh, didn't quite go over. It's a nice diagonal ball, but didn't quite land it. He's
Luke
up
Shaw
again.
is pushing on here. Wonder if Eriksen's dropped deep again. I don't know where Eriksen is. I'm assuming he's out on this left-hand side somewhere.
Looks to me like he's just having to sit down on the 18-yard box.
That's nice. Win the ball back.
Behind. That was good by Voot.
Come on.
It's a shame, really. These long-distance shots don't seem to be having the effect that we would want them to just yet.
They've just not got the power on them. There's no power on these shots at the moment. Don't know whether it's a cold night, going to warm the muscles up, but
well, you'd hope after 37 minutes that those muscles have warmed up a bit. But if they haven't, then we're in a bit of trouble.
Luke Shaw's got the dealing of Zaha on this side so far.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Here he goes again.
I thought that was going over the top. Oh, that's got to be a free kick.
Oi, referee. Thank you. We'll have that. I love it the way they look at it. So, what do you mean? What have I done? Well, he took his leg out, mate. We all saw it. He was on 2 legs and now he's on 1.
From behind as well.
You can't do that, mate. Yeah, right on the shin. Always going to be a free kick. Who's taking this then?
Fernandez, it's got to be.
You think Fernandez?
Oh, no. Well, no, I'm completely wrong. He's walking away from it.
Rashford or Eriksen potentially here. Eriksen's gone for a walk. It looks like it's Rashford. Which side do you reckon he's going to go? Keeper's right, keeper's left?
It's going over the wall, this.
Yeah, I think he's aiming keeper's right.
It's going over the bar, sorry, I should say.
Well, to be fair, Connor, you're right, because if it's going to go over the bar, it's got to go over the wall first. Oh, I told you he was going to go for the right, didn't I?
Poor effort in the end.
Near. Yeah, nowhere near. That went even past a stanchion. That was considerably wide. It got way too much turn in there. Look at 8 goals since the World Cup. More than that absolute legend, Ben Yedder, and his mate, Benzema.
If anyone's played FIFA, you know how much of an annoyance Ben Yedder is, that's for sure.
The only thing that's annoying about FIFA is trying to hear the commentator call Bruno Fernandes for Bruno Fernandes. What's that?
I think he's done an interview, hasn't he, and said that in Portuguese, that is actually how you're supposed to say his name.
That's outrageous.
I'm sure I've read that somewhere.
Everybody's been saying his name wrong apart from this commentator who we all laugh at.
I'm pretty sure I've read that somewhere, that is actually how they say it. Wow. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
No.
Oh, dear.
Oh, what a save from Dave. That's what he does. 39 minutes of absolutely nothing. And then all of a sudden, hang on, lads, let me just pull this one out of the top drawer. There you go.
Dear me. So
it's like on fire.
So it's a shot from the edge from Edouard, who's just muscled Varane out of the way. The shot and De Gea just tipped it onto the bar. I mean,
that is unreal.
Deary me. Palace corner, it's whipped in. Varane's got that clear.
Put that up there as a little headline because John Commode's right. That is a save and a half, that.
Isn't De Gea out of contract as well in the summer?
Well, I think that's what I'm hearing, is that there's a probability that his contract ends. I'm hoping that we're going to renew it because, you know, I can't really think of anybody better at the moment.
Well, there's all this talk of Dean Henderson. There's all this talk of bringing another keeper in. For me, Dean Henderson's not on the level of De Gea. I don't care what anyone tries to tell me. He's just not.
Not only is he not on the level, Connor, I wouldn't want him. He's got a toxic personality based on how he was behaving at the beginning of the season. You know, Eric would have given him a chance if he wanted it. And he didn't appear to want it. He was just rude and obnoxious without any need. So as far as I'm concerned, Forest can have him. Just not for the match that we're playing against them. Go on, Anthony.
Use his pace here.
Beautiful. And now we've got the corner. Pressure alleviated. That's where he's good.
That ball from Fernandez, it was a little bit lucky with the 50-50 with Zaha, but the quick pass out to Anthony. And he's just made up, as John said, a brilliant run. He made up about 60, 70 yards on his own there and won us a corner at the end of it. So let's see a Christian Eriksen volley here, edge of the box. Why not? Weghorst to knock it out to the edge. It's been crossed in. It's kind of to nobody.
That's a poor punch from the goalie. He's kept it alive.
Weghorst, for me, Weghorst has got to do better there. For his height, you know, he's getting muscled off the ball in the air there. That is a fantastic tackle.
The goalie should be doing better as well, to be fair, because he's just punched it away. But that tackle there from Wan-Bissaka was brilliant. But now they've got the ball back again. Bit of end-to-end stuff, Connor, to end this first half. This is absolute. What are we doing? Go on, Fernandes.
Again, right idea, wrong execution. But again, he's very open, isn't it? It's a very open end-to-end game. You don't usually get this in these types of games, I've found. Or the ones that I can remember anyway, unless I'm missing something. But
this is because Palace have just had an opportunity that nearly went in, so they're getting their tails up a bit, and now United trying
That's nice, quick thinking. That's a great ball in.
Bruno, go on, my son. Fernandes is there.
That's what we love. Eriksen, Fernandes, right on half time as well. That's fantastic.
That's a killer blow for them. They've worked really hard, Crystal Palace, to be fair, but we have had some really good chances. And although you might argue that they've had the better chance, which Dave had to push onto the bar, we've had the best chance there because we put it away. I was worried because he held on to it a little bit longer than I wanted him to. And you just wondered if he was going to shift it and then not quite get there. But that's brilliant. Just the sort of goal that we needed. And it's really put us in a good position there because all that hard work, they've been hoping to get to half-time at least 0-0. And now they've got to come out and try and pull the game back. And that will suit us down to the ground.
That quick ball from Rashford there, the quick thing to get that into Eriksen. And to see that Weghorst drags two defenders with him. They're so worried about where Weghorst is going. It drags two defenders back towards goal to open up the space for Fernandes to do that.
What a finish, by the way. Honestly, Weghorst looks like his older brother, really, doesn't he? Just sort of wandering about there. I reckon he'd have been a good basketball player, you know.
Weghorst.
Yeah. Not because he's necessarily good at basketball, but he's just put it in, wouldn't he? Just, there you go. Well, we're down to the last, 25, 24 seconds. How long do you reckon the extra time is going to be? We said that he was down for a while.
He was down for at least 3 minutes, Martinez. So if they're going to stick by this rule of that's what they're doing, then it's got to be at least 3. Obviously, I'd prefer none, but
I'd have gone 3 as well.
This has got to be 3 or 4 if they're going off how long someone was on the floor for.
And it is
3.
3 minutes. There we go. Nailed it. So this is interesting. Crystal Palace have got 12 points coming from behind this season. But the previous statistic put up is that when we've gone ahead, we won 10 games out of 10. So this is why statistics are useless in the middle of a football match. It's just what's going to change, potentially. But I don't know. Palace look like they're still giving it a go, seeing if they can get it back before half time. I can't see him doing it, Connor. Can you?
No. Not before half time. They might get a goal in the second half, but because, as you said, Palace have got to come out in the second half and attack it. Which, to be fair, it's not like they've been sat defending. Palace have had their fair share of opportunity. You think a few minutes earlier, that De Gea save, if that goes in, then we're the ones having to chase the game. So just shows how important, we've just done a show on the women's channel talking about how important the defence is and how well they've done. Right, point proven right there with the men's team. De Gea doesn't make that save. We're going in at half-time probably 1-0 down. So
absolutely. Do you think De Gea deserves the criticism that seems to come his way quite a bit?
I mean, don't get me wrong, he's got his faults. His distribution's not as good as, I guess, some people would want it to be. But I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. I sound very much like Roy Keane. It's job's to make saves. As long as he does that, I'm not too fussed else what he does. He is coming off his line a lot more now, which is obviously one criticism that people had of him. So, yeah, I think from that point of view, he's definitely improving under Ten Hag, and it's good to see.
Right, so we've got about a minute until the half-time whistle goes. So, Connor, why don't you explain to the absolute multitude of people watching what the plan is for half-time?
Well, I'm kind of hoping that we'd get some of you in here. I have just sent the link to somebody who expressed an interest in coming on. I can see Johnny K in the comments. I don't know what I called it now. That's what you call him. I can see John in the comments. If you want to jump on a half-time, by all means, drop me a message and I'll ping the link across. Let me just drop it into this group chat, because why not?
Well, Palace just knocking it about around the back now, and to be honest, you really would be expecting this half-time whistle any time now. Now he's going to blow for a free kick, or are you just going to say that's it? Yeah, there we go. That is the official half-time. And it's all thanks to Bruno Fernandes and his extremely well-placed right-footed shot from inside the box. But I'm pleased that you said it was Rashford who started the whole thing off, because it really was nice, quick thinking. This is what I mean. He's one of those players at the moment who, even if he does have a problem during a match, he's got that magic touch at the minute. Whether it be an assist, whether it be a goal. Honestly, I dread to think what would happen if he get injured.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The front line is very
it's a bit like
threadbare.
Very thin on top. Would you keep Martial?
Yes. He would be my starting striker, but again,
he would be your starting striker.
Not many people rate him, do they? I think for me, I would have him in that position any day. But I get it, for some people his work rate's not the best. But I mean, for me, watch Rashford's work rate as well. Rashford doesn't work very hard off the ball. Neither does Martial. They're very similar, but only Martial gets the stick. That's where it's a little bit of an annoyance.
You could argue that Rashford's banged in like way more goals than Martial.
That's the difference. Rashford's backing it up with goals and with things like that. So yeah, it's a tough one. But what am I being sent here? My mate who's a Liverpool fan's piping up because Weghorst hasn't scored in the first half. And it's like, mate, you've got Núñez in your team. I am not listening to a word that you're coming out with. Lance, I'll say my two favourite people that I was just about to bring up. We're going to make it 3 now, because hopefully your third favourite person has joined.
Hopefully it ends out.
But how are you feeling, John, after that first? Very cagey, end-to-end kind of stuff. But how do you see it?
Yeah, I agree. It's very cagey, but let's be honest, it almost always is a cagey game up at Palace. It's not. And that's just place to go to if you need a win, and that obviously, as you mentioned during the Watchalong, the crowd gets up and all that. And but I think we've managed the game pretty well. We have been the best team. Obviously, as you mentioned, the goal was a lovely goal, lovely move. And for me, the goal, it'll be understated, but for me, Ericsson is what makes that goal. It was a lovely ball by Rashford. Ericsson makes the run, but you mentioned Vegas dragging the defenders away, which is, obviously very intelligent from him, but not many people will see Bruno on the edge, and that is the class and the brain of Ericsson to see where he is. Bruno had time to take a touch and, aim for the target. So for me, it was a lovely goal, and I think overall we have deserved it for our first half performance.
I tend to agree with that. I mean, Lanzar's saying there we've been the better side. Anthony, a bit frustrating for me, never takes on his man, always wants to cut inside. I mean, he went on the outside. The one time he did go on the outside, we won the corner. We didn't make too much of it, but I mean, well, John, I'll let you have the answer on this one. How good was Wan-Bissaka and how good's he been in this game?
Yeah, he's obviously. We mentioned this on the show I was on Sunday. He's made the most of every opportunity, and he's managed to get his United career back on track. He's a brilliant defensive right back, in my opinion, and for me that one-on-one where he was up against Zaha was a superb tackle, and for me it's good to see him playing with confidence and that, and and I think it would be good if Anthony can get in some kind of form. Him and Delo on with Anthony could be a threat going ahead this season. I do agree with your point about Anthony can be frustrated. I was a bit unlucky with the lob, which only just bounced the wrong side of the post as well. So that's the thing with Anthony, he can be frustrated. He's a bit like, for those who remember Nani, he was frustrating a lot of the time, but he could score a worldie at any moment. So for me that's Anthony, and but hopefully he can learn to take on a man more. That run he did for the corner was brilliant because it not just won us a corner, but it took pressure off the defence. And for me, hopefully if he can do more of that, then he'll go from strength to strength.
I mean, what do you think on this comment that someone, Jarvis, is welcome to the chat, by the way, Jarvis. What he's saying here, Rashford looks off it. And he's also followed that in by Rashford looks a bit tired tonight. How do you think he's done? Because obviously he had a part to play in the goal, played the quick ball through to Ericsson. How do you think he's done so far?
Yeah, I think he has been frustrated at times. It's also worth noting that in the derby as well, in the first half, he was through on goal a few times and he did waste a couple of opportunities in the first half. So for me, it's by Rashford at the moment that there are some games when he does appear out of it, but he is capable of producing the moments, and you allow the odd off performance, when he's contributed very well, and so long as we can win tonight, if he doesn't, but he's was a part of the goal, and that's all that matters. And for me, he's obviously we know Palace are much more of a physical team, and they're more likely to try and put you off when you're on the ball compared to most teams. So for me, that might be a factor in it. Tiredness might be an issue, but for me, he's still he might produce a goal in the second half. We just don't know, but I'm not too worried though.
I was just watching that Fernandez goal again. And the number 6, Gehi, if he'd have actually stayed on his feet, might have blocked that. But he dropped down and the ball just flies over him. So it was quite helpful, really. Little fun fact, I love my stats. Got a brilliant little website that I look on to find these things. That's Fernandez's 55th goal for the club. It puts him in level 46 with Harry Rowley, but it just goes to show doesn't take much to get up there in these old scoring charts. He's catching up.
If I remember right, I think that's his 40th league goal as well.
There you go, Steve.
I think because I'm sure they said he's equalised against City, and that's the other fact. So that I thought that the confidence that goal will give Bruno on Saturday, and that's not being spoken about. That was his first goal for a number of games on Saturday, and the confidence that will give him, I just felt that he would get another goal tonight, and for me, he's had a good performance. Bruno, he is passing the ball well, and like I say, and you mentioned the moment, and that's the other side of Bruno is he's not maybe get as many goals and assists this season, but for me, he's still making a massive impact. And you have to remember with Harry Maguire not starting most of the time, he's always on the pitch at times. Bruno is effectively our captain on the pitch most of the time, and for me, he's doing well. He's evolving as a player, and for me, yeah, that's one thing that he's been taught under Ten Hag is you can still contribute even if you're not getting goals and assists, and obviously got his reward against City. He's got his reward tonight, but he is still playing well, and for me, he took his goal very well. It was a lovely goal.
I think there's a comment there. I've just seen another stat as well. So that was Bruno's 100th goal contribution for United. And there's also, I think, Lanzell's, and I did see this the other day, when Bruno and Casemiro have played together, we've never lost a game, which is an interesting stat in itself. I think the team just seems very fluid to me. With Casemiro, with Rashford, with Eriksen, with Bruno, you've got, and Luke Shaw actually I'd throw into that mix. And to be fair, you could throw anyone into that mix. But the team seems very fluid. Whereas before we were kind of like, how are we going to score? Now it seems like we've got a way of playing, it seems. I don't know what you think on that one, but it feels like we know when Casemiro gets the ball, we know where this is going. You know, we can kind of see ahead. Because obviously we watch United week in, week out. It just feels like we've got a bit of identity about us now.
I think, yeah, and I think that's it. That was often the case for me, particularly on the Solskjaer. For me, it was unfair at times to say we were simply counter-attacking him. Of course, we were very good on the counter, but I think the difference with Ten Hag now, and we're beginning to see in the last few games, we're more confident controlling the ball, controlling possession, controlling the game. And for me, it was evident even against City. City on most of the ball, but you could argue, except for 20 minutes in the second half, we controlled the game. Ultimately, even though we were out of possession most of the time, because City were to and fro and all that, and it underestimated. It was all about Martial and all that. For me, there was no coincidence that in the second half against City, they had more the ball in the second half. Martial wasn't on the pitch. Because I think someone did a tactical analysis. He wasn't always pressing up, but what he did was hang back, and he effectively stopped the ball to Rodri. And not many people picked up on that, and it's something that I picked up on. And for me, that's we're looking better. You can control the game with and without the ball. And that's one thing I think Ten Hag is doing. And I think also when we do have most of the ball, we are able to penetrate teams. And again, you look at the goal, Weghorst makes one, takes two defenders away, and Eriksen sees Bruno on the edge in a better position. Goal 1-0. Simple.
Before we do let you go, because we're on the last ad break now before half time. You're going to come back at full time, John? Give us your thoughts at the end of the game.
Yeah, I'll come on briefly. Yeah, hopefully.
How do you see the second half going? And Lanzell's talking about Garnacho when we counter. Jarvis is talking about the Palace counter, or not so much counter, but Palace dangerous on the break. What would you like to see the second half? How do you see it going? All those kind of things.
I would like us to basically continue with what we are doing. I think Palace they're attacking their main end second half, so yeah, they might get a bit of a bounce, bit of a lift. For me, get the second goal. I think if we get the second goal and we manage it well, that should be enough to win the game. But yeah, just basically continue with the way you are going. Palace will get opportunities, but don't be rash, don't be silly, and hopefully make it 10 wins in a row.
That's the stat. Is it 10 in a row? Is it? Is that what it is?
If we win now, if we win this game, it'll be 10 in a row. Yeah.
What's it in the league? Do you know? Is that
I think
6 or 7
in a row? With City was our 5th league winning because we lost to Villa, then we beat Fulham just before.
Yeah, then we played Forest.
And then we played Forest, Wolves,
Bournemouth,
and I mean in that 10-game winning run, we've only in those 10 games, only 3 of them have been away, which is interesting.
And we've only conceded twice. Once to City, once to Everton in the cup.
Yeah. And
So
but also you got to also remember we won our 2 previous one. We beat Villa 4-2 after the Villa game that we lost in the league. We played them in the League Cup and won 4-2. That's where the run started.
There we are then. So fingers crossed we continue that run going. John, make sure you come back on at full time. Hopefully we'll be sat here with a win. There's some penalty shootout against the Eagle going on here. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he couldn't have made that any easier. That is on the Rashford celebration.
So, what's the Ahmad one? Is it? Yeah, you did. Was it that?
Covered his eye, didn't he?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So we've got that one, and then we've got that one.
Yeah.
We need one of them,
just before I go, that Welbeck did the Rashford celebration the other day. Didn't he scored against them. Oh, well, that's good. But yeah, come on, let's get the 3 points then.
Nice one. Yeah, thanks for coming on, John. We shall speak to you in about 45 minutes time.
Cheers,
I mean, it's hard to disagree with what John said there. About the game as a whole and about the second half upcoming. It's going to be a tense, I think, first 5-10 minutes. If we can get the goal early, I think we'll be fine. But it's going to be right on.
I think they're going to come on to us as quickly as they can, but hopefully we're going to try our very best to counter quickly. Like you say, if we can get a little sucker punch in that first 10 minutes result, because Palace, I think, will really struggle with that. So
no subs, it doesn't look like at half-time, so it is going to be the same 11 again. I'm not surprised. There was no injury talk or anything like that, but
well, like you said, it's still not comfortable, so we need to give it a little bit longer. We might get to 60 minutes or so, maybe. And then if it's still 1-0, start making a decision based on, like, is Rashford really looking tired? Do we need to make a switch for somebody else? So
the mental thing is, from a Palace point of view, they're obviously losing it. They'll stay on 22 points as it stands. They could get dragged into a relegation battle themselves, and they're 12th. Because of how tight the bottom half of the table is, there's only, the bottom 3 are all on 15. Then you go in 16, 17, 17, 17, 20, 22. It's still so tight down the bottom.
Very much so. Very much so.
Palace they're not going to sit and accept this, that's for sure.
Absolutely. If Palace nick a goal, it could go. Well, obviously, it should be a draw at that point, but could go either way. So, big 10 minutes coming up. Big 10 minutes.
That's a handball. Thank you.
And it's been given. So, you've still got Paul Leslie and Alan Smith if you don't want to hear our dulcet tones, but I've got to be honest, I'd rate us over Leslie and Alan Smith. It's no Martin Tyler and Gary Neville, is it?
No, I think we've done a cracking job on commentary. As Wan-Bissaka's pushing down the right-hand side. I don't know, is he going to keep that in?
Anthony for it's goal! Right in the bread basket, as Jim Ross would say.
Don't know what's going on here.
It wasn't bad.
Just pigging around in the corner at the moment.
Crikey. He nearly got it again. By the way, as we were on our little Fernandez goal stats, he's got a few people that he's very close to. He's scored 55 now. If he scores one more goal, he's going to be level with the likes of Dimitar Berbatov. And that's what I mean. You think how good Berbatov has been for us in his short period that he played.
Oh,
he was on about 149 appearances when he got it. This is 153 for Bruno, but very different positions. You know, Berbatov was a forward. You can't book the butcher.
I think that's a yellow. He's not just grappled his shirt there. He's nearly ripped it off.
Nearly is the word we're looking for. He didn't actually.
There's some strength in those Palace shirts, that's for sure.
You're not kidding. Also, I mean, to be fair, the poor geezer's been actually elbowed in the head and he's getting booked because he nearly disrobed a Palace player.
What do you reckon to that elbow in the first half then that was on Mark?
I still think it should have been a yellow at least.
There's some chat online talking about a potential red in that if VAR picks that up properly. Obviously, VAR will be obviously in operation, but I'm surprised they've not looked further into it.
Well, I mean, the fact that the referee hasn't done anything with it, obviously it would depend what goes in his report. Because it's a red, potentially might be able to look at it retrospectively, but because the ref hasn't dealt with it, he hasn't done a yellow card or anything. So providing the rules haven't been updated there, then there might be something that could be looked at retrospectively. But to be honest, I don't know. I think it's, I thought it was quite bad.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think I've read a few tweets now and talking about, only the Palace player knows whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah, I mean, you can never go by intent. You can't prove intent. It's impossible, like you say. So you have to go by what you see, and it looked pretty dire.
It's the right idea from Casemiro there.
Did you expect Eriksen to be as good as he turned out to be? Because I kind of thought, this was a bit of a nothing signing, really. But he's actually done quite well, I thought.
I'd say yes. I was so excited when we signed him because I loved him at Spurs. I think one of my favourite players outside of a few others. He was always one of my favourite players to watch because I used to play kind of in that attacking midfield role myself when I used to in my playing days. I just love the way he plays football. It reminds me of myself, being arrogant over it. But I try to play like that. Obviously, nowhere near that level, but that's how I'd like to play, if I was still playing football and things like that. So for me, yeah, I mean, he's done better than I think fans probably expected. When you say a midfield of Bruno and Eriksen, I think a lot of fans thought maybe Bruno was going to be shoved out to one of the wings or playing as a centre-forward type role, or we're going to see them interchange, and they're playing together and working together as well.
He's stepping up to take a corner now as Eriksen. Fernandez just isn't even looking. He's got his back to him. He's like, yeah, whatever. Just looking over his bit of Micah Mechanics, looking back over his shoulder.
I thought he was going to hit that first time then. Anthony is. And,
yeah. Wow. There was a steward there who had to duck. Because otherwise he was getting knocked down the little gangway.
He did indeed, John. He didn't compare himself to old Thor, but he certainly said he reminded. About it.
I mean, Stu's saying Thor reminds me. Yeah, Christian Eriksen. That's like, oh yeah, Messi reminds me of myself because he's 5 foot.
But if you don't watch the women's team, that is Maria Torres-Dottir that John is on about, not the Thor.
Yes, no, not the one with the hammer. No, that would be different. Very different.
It's a Palace corner. They've got their first kind of real threat of the
straight down to their end. You see,
of the half. I think it's going to be like this for the rest of the game, isn't it? It's just going to be very end to end. Just important, as John said at half time, that we get that second goal first.
Well, here comes Elise. That's an outswinger. Out my root. There he goes.
Do you know the amount of times when I'll wait for this attack to fizzle out. De Gea's caught that, I think.
Yeah.
The amount seeing Weghorst head that away on the 6-yard box. The amount of times where we used to play Burnley, lofting balls into the box, and Weghorst would just be there clearing every single bloody cross that went into the box. And now we've got him there, clearing up. I
really do want his name to be pronounced Woot, so it can be a bit like Guardians of the Galaxy. I just want to wander around all of his interviews. How was that goal? Did you enjoy that? I am Woot.
I was thinking of that.
I am Woot.
See, I've got songs going around in my head. I was thinking of Boom Boom Shake the Room for some reason.
Oh, nice.
I was trying to think of a chant to go along with that, then I couldn't think of one.
Woot, woot. It's the sound of the Weghorst.
Oh, dear.
You can have the little beeps if you want. Woot, woot. It's the sound of the Weghorst. Woot, woot.
There's no way this is. If there's no chance that's being sung at Old Trafford. I couldn't. No, it was fans hated when Ronaldo did the old Sui celebration. I don't think that's going around. Beckles does something.
Well, again, if it's Voot, it could be a bit like the Rude one, wasn't it? Because I always used to think he was being booed for a while, but it was just constant like Rude.
Well, that's what I think.
Same thing.
When you hear in the women's team, when this whole thing that's come from the Lionesses, when they say Toon, I used to think she was getting booed in the first few games when she was being taken off or subbed or whatever. But it's not as fans saying Toon, isn't it? But it sounds like, obviously, that she's being booed.
You don't hear the first sound, you just hear the ooh, and you equate that with a boo. But you can see Palace are trying to commit a bit more forward, but they're also very mindful of the fact that we've got some speedy players down the other end as well. So I'm not necessarily putting Voot in that bracket just yet. But certainly Rashford and Anthony have got the pace. I do wonder what Vieira's going to do. At some point, he's got to stick or twist.
Are they making a sub already? Somebody coming on there for Palace. So it looks like they're twisted already. Who is number 10 for Palace? Is it? Let's have a look. I imagine it's Eze.
10 for Palace is, it is, Ebrechi Eze.
Yeah, I thought it would be. Yeah, so makes
That's
sense.
An easy substitution.
Good player. I wouldn't have him at United, but yeah, certainly a good player to have from a Palace point of view. There's a question for you, Baron. You know the question I like to throw on the women's channel. You've got to swap a player from Palace into United. Who are you bringing across?
I knew this Watchalong was a bad idea.
I'll take away the parameter that they have to come into start. This is a good.
Ooh,
he got there.
He did get there.
I'm surprised he got there ahead
That's
of him.
what he does with it. Inside he comes. Got to use that left foot.
That's a poor ball. Yeah, I'll take away the parameter that they have to start. But if you're taking anyone from this Palace squad, they don't have to start. But who are you bringing in?
Blimey, that is a really. All right, I suppose based on what we've spoken about before, I'd be tempted, and I know they're only on the bench at the moment, by either Jordan Ayew or, and don't laugh, Jeffrey Schlupp, because we need potentially a bit of depth in that forward position. I know we've just bought Weghorst on loan, but yeah, potentially one of those just to give us a little something, so that when Martial comes on and doesn't score, we can put somebody on who might.
See, I like that Elise. I've got to be honest, for parts the guy who's just been fouled there. They've got a few good players. The player that they've just brought in, that Richards, their centre half, looks decent. Tyreek Mitchell, good youngster. Eze's coming on for Mateta.
Hakuna Mateta.
I would actually probably bring in, even though we don't need a centre back at the moment. I'm ignoring that. I'd probably bring in Gahey from as centre half. Someone's on the pitch here. What's he doing?
Whatever it is, he's taking a selfie.
Who's that with? Casemiro?
It's not that Salt Bay geezer again, is it? He's early. The stewards just haven't even bothered, and now he's just casually walking off. His mate's oh no, it's not his mate. That could be St John's ambulance. Who knows what's going on there? The security and the steward in there. This is how Premier League footballers are able to kick your fans in the face. Just not paying any attention, are they? Whatsoever.
Well, what's mental about that? I've just put it in a chat. The fact that they all just waited for him to take the picture. He could have done anything. Yeah. He could have gone onto the pitch for anything. They all just stood there. Yeah, come on, have a picture, and off you go.
And you know what? It's a good job he got the selfie, because he's never going to be near enough to a football player around a pitch ever again, because that'll be it now. Lifetime ban. What an absolute waste.
Is that it? Is it a lifetime ban from all stadiums, or just the ground that you do it at now?
That's a great question, Connor. I've never been that naughty, so I wouldn't know.
Not that I'm going to do it, but
is it all? You would. Well, I mean, it's definitely the home ground, but yeah, I don't know. Is it a bit like bars? Sometimes when you used to get barred out of one bar, they'd send your information and your photo out to everybody else, so they could go, "Oh yeah, look, he's barred. He's trouble. He is."
essentially.
Could it be a bit like that? But then I can't imagine that as people are running the turnstiles, they've got like the FBI or the playing cards like the Americans used to have of the faces of all the people who've come onto the pitch and shouldn't have been there. So
it's crazy because I've pitch invaded before, but it was kind of, let's wait for this Rashford. Wrong option.
Quite.
Because I've done it before with my local side, Worcester City, when we beat Scunthorpe in the FA Cup, but they let us on the pitch. A couple of fans had pitch invaded from the start, and then the stewards just stood along halfway and just opened the gates and let us go on. So it's a little bit different. But I think when you have moments like that, I think back to what happened. I know this is going on the extreme side of things, but you think back to what happened with Greenwich versus Birmingham when that fan came on and just whacked him around the back of the head. It only takes so for a guy to just walk on the pitch like that, casual as you like, no stewards anywhere near, just waiting for. Oh yeah, go on, mate, have your picture, then we'll come and get you. Like it just encourages people to go and do that kind of thing because
absolutely. And lower down, it's happened a lot. Certainly around conference area. People will jump on the pitch and will do those things if there's been a particular celebration. Usually, it's usually a good result or something like that. But yeah, like you say, it encourages people. I can distinctly remember after Stevenage knocked out Newcastle 3-1 in the FA Cup about 12 years ago. At the end of that match, loads of players went loads of fans went onto the pitch, and our left back got punched in the face. Like a proper, genuine one of the fans just take one of them. He got arrested and all sorts. So, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. So people should not be allowed on the pitch. Full stop. It's a crime. You're not supposed to be there. And it is for the safety of all these players. It's irrelevant that they're multi-million-pound players. It's the fact that you shouldn't be on the pitch. Just like you can't go running onto the stage at the theatre. You can't jump into the TV either. All of these things are for people's safety. They're not things you can do. If you're in court, you can't just go up and stand next to the judge and take a selfie and go, "It's all right, you're going to send me down now."
I was thinking of could you imagine it in any other sport, like swimming, cheering your favourite swimmer on, and you just jump in the pool with them.
Tom Daley about to do a dive, and there's somebody else jumping with him.
It is only football. You see it, and you wouldn't get it in the cycling. That would be quite something if someone managed to get on the velodrome track or something.
Somebody just giving it the best they possibly can on the bike, just to get. There you go. They're veering off to the side and coming off the mountain. So
rugby, I think the players are a bit too big and hard for that. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near one. Having been at a college at a rugby club for a year, still terrifying when I see them. So I don't think you'd get it in that. You certainly wouldn't get it in the boxing. Can you imagine that running into the ring?
Yeah, you soon get knocked out or fencing on guard. Definitely wouldn't do it in the MMA, would you? Climb over the octagon in your jump. Why is my arm no longer connected to my shoulder? What happened?
Yeah, it is madness.
If they went into wrestling and tried to do it, then everybody in the ring would beat them up. I've seen it before when people have gone in there and the referee's proper kicking lumps out of the ring invader.
Yeah, it's not something that you should be doing or entertaining. That's for
just how slowly they came on, the stewards. They were just like, "Oh, look, there's somebody there taking a photo." That's crazy.
John's brought up a stat or a memory. I was 3 years old, so I don't.
So you asked me because I'm a little bit older, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Barry take this one.
Okay, go on then. Do you remember that game when United were playing Bayern Munich away in 2001? Yes, they did a team photo and some geezer just stuck himself in the end to make 12. I do remember that. Like they say, it was just before, so they were doing the team photos, and yeah, There he was. I think they were in their white kit, and he was just bent right at the end, a random geezer. Nobody knew who he was. And it wasn't, I don't think, because he then just wandered straight off. I don't think it was even noticed until I saw it in the papers the next day. It was mad.
Pretty crazy, that, I know. It's
People make some very odd decisions when it comes to football. They really do. But genuinely, I mean, I can't see why you'd want to do it. Yes, you've got yourself to the game. Why would you want to run onto the pitch and give up the opportunity to watch it live just for the sake of a selfie on the pitch? Even if it is Casemiro.
Well, that's what made me laugh. He went to Casemiro. I'm not saying he's about, obviously, he's one of our best players this season, but Casemiro is not the first name I would think of.
No.
You know,
and also, I mean, he's still picking up the language, isn't he? Isn't it like he was pushing him away a little bit there? Like, no, go away.
He's probably turned around and thinking, who the bloody hell's this weirdo coming up from... like, who are you? Because you just never know, do you, with things like this nowadays, but dearie me.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Rashford's going to go for...
Rashy, too-eyed. Too-eye, son.
I always think, right? Oh, okay, it did take a bobble, to be fair. It did bounce off the surface before he hit it.
It did.
That's a nice little parry away from the guy in the stanza. But
as indeed.
I always think how footballers hit it so high like that, because not going to lie, when I used to play football, I used to miss a lot, but I never used to miss by hitting it that far over the bar in games. I always feel like Premier League footballs must be, I don't know, really soft and light and things like that, or they, well, clearly they've also got more power in the way that they hit it, and it's flying over the bar. Because it's the same with corners when they hit the first man from a corner. I'm thinking, how have you done that? Like, it's not that hard. Especially corners for me are unforgivable when they hit the first player, because it's like there's no excuse. There's nobody challenging you. You're in a box on your own. Just hit it into that one. That annoys me when it doesn't get over the first player. It's one of my pet peeves.
There's never an excuse to not be the first player on a corner, to be fair. Never.
Because United went through a phase of that where we just kept hitting the first man. I think that's what under the Louis van Gaal era, when we were experimenting all kinds of things. And Phil Jones went on corners for a bit.
I hated the Van Gaal era. And it's annoying because the two eras that I've hated the most since Ferguson left are the ones where we've had the most trophies. But it was just dire. You know, Mourinho and Van Gaal's football was honestly just the most soul-destroying type of football I think I've ever watched in my life.
Well, the Mourinho era, the second season, I think it was, when we went on that 4-0. Well, we were calling ourselves 4-0 FC for a bit because we were just winning every game 4-0, like the first 3 or 4 games.
Pascal 4-0s.
But that felt like the start of something. Obviously, it depleted and we finished second, and City ran away with the title in the end. But that's what I was saying this to my mate earlier, that the last time we won a trophy was under Mourinho. It doesn't feel like that because I felt like we did well under Ollie until the end, but it was. You're talking. I mean, when was Mourinho? 2017-18. You're talking here.
Yeah, we're on about 5 years without a trophy, and the scary thing is how close we were under Ollie. We were a David De Gea penalty away, really, and that I think we forget that. I know there's conversations that can happen about what we could have done and how Ollie could have changed it a bit earlier, perhaps. Well, that's not a penalty, thank God. Never a penalty. But it went through every single player. The penalties went to the goalkeeper. It was 10-all, and then 11-10. And that was it. We didn't have a choice. David had to set up to take the penalty.
You see that there? And John Commode, that back heel did not go through the player's legs because he's ready and waiting for it, just saying. I thought I'd get that straight in there.
Right, we're going to come back to that in just a sec. Right, they're running away with it. So Connor's bringing that up because we've been discussing on the sister channel of the AFU, WFC, about the Puskas Award, of which many people are nominated for goal of the season, basically, goal of the year. And Alessia Russo's up there. She's up against some great players. Kylian Mbappe's up there for one of his goals, I think, against Argentina. Who else did I say was on there? Balotelli's on there. Dimitri Payet, by the way, 35 years old. Where he's come from, I don't know. But yeah, lots of big names on there. But Alessia Russo's on there for her back heel goal against Sweden. And Connor's been absolutely dissonant for the entirety of the show. No, never should have happened. Back heel shouldn't go between players' legs like that. It's an outrageous. She didn't mean it. All sorts. It's outrageous. I can't quite believe you've been so derogatory, young Connor, of what is a superb finish.
To back up my point, I understand what everyone was saying on this show about the audacity, if you want to call it that, to try it. Yes, but she shouldn't have missed the first shot to begin with. Like, she's got to score that first one. It's rebounded off the keeper because the keeper's had a shocking game. If you remember back, the fourth goal was even worse. Yeah. The keeper's had an absolute mare in that game. And I just feel like the ball's not travelling at pace. It's not like Russo's absolutely whacked it as a back heel at her. It's not. It's a good shot, but I just feel like that shouldn't be going in, and that's why I don't feel it should be on that list. Because as Russo said, her goal when she did the little spin against Northern Ireland, I think's better. It's a better technique than the other one. I'm not saying Weghorst is coming off. I really wanted him to score.
So come back to that because we've got a couple of changes here. Garnacho's coming on. You would presume for Weghorst. Which will mean Garnacho goes out to the left and Rashi is going to play in the front spot.
Well,
Scott McTominay coming on as well, although it does appear to be McTominay for Weghorst, which is...
That's not going to be right. I imagine Anthony's going off here for... Wait, no, so I'm trying to work this out now. So we've got Rashford and Garnacho on.
So we've got Rashford, Garnacho...
Surely not McTominay up front.
Never in a million years.
It's got to be Bruno out to the right, I'd have thought.
Would you move Bruno? I don't know why. I'm a bit confused as to what his tactics are going to be here. I'm going to have a little look at this.
It is. It's Fernandez out on the right, I think. Well, Fernandez, unless it looks a bit more like a diamond.
Is Ericsson still at left back?
It looks a bit like a diamond. You've got Casemiro as the centerpiece. You've got Ericsson and Bruno either side, and then McTominay on the right of that, and then Bruno a little bit further forward, and Rashford and Garnacho down the middle. Although Garnacho dropped really deep a second ago, and Bruno's out on the right.
Yes, one.
If they can find him. Why is he going for the pass?
He didn't shoot. Oh, I thought he'd shoot.
I don't know why he's gone for the pass there.
Just a nice low-driven shot would have been spot on there. In acres of space. And then he's crossed it back in. Oh. Deary me. Right, Palace are looking to make a couple. But yeah. What about this? It doesn't matter if she missed the first shot. All that matters is it went in at the end of it.
Well, it did, but the keeper should be safe. That's my point. We score a lot of goals. It doesn't mean they're good goals. Sometimes you got to look at the opposition.
But the second finish is allowed to be better than the first finish.
Oh, no, it is.
I'm just saying. Just because they should have scored the first. By the way, they brought on the two players that I said I might potentially bring in to United if I had to play your game.
I think you did, yeah.
So... but yeah, that second one is allowed to be, and it was a better finish. So, we all make mistakes, don't we? What a way to redeem it.
Yeah, If you say, for me, it's just not as good as people are making out. That could be a potential penalty, and McTominay has gone.
Could be, but I don't think it's going to be. I feel like he might have gone over his own feet a bit there.
Hello to you. Let's see if we can win this. Let's see if we can win this 1-0, or we'll see this
one. Good evening, Han Solo 7.
This
hey.
He's definitely not got the ball here, the defender.
No, he hasn't. I mean, I see where you're going with this, Mr. Roberts.
He's not got the ball, but I also don't think he's took enough of McTominay either. I think it's a bit of both.
Well, it looks like they're looking at it.
It's whether it's inside, I think, now.
He moves the ball away from him. I think you might be right. But he hasn't given it.
He's not given it.
Like that's crazy. I think I could see why that would have been given as a penalty, but you talked yourself out of it there. If anything, we've swapped positions. You were like, that could be a penalty. I was like, no, I don't think that was enough. And then we looked at it, you've gone, no, I don't think that's enough. I think it might actually be a penalty. Completely swapped. John Commode also thinking it was a penalty.
Oh, but that's a foul.
Sorry?
Ref's just given a foul against, I think it's against McTominay, yeah.
He's not happy with him, is he? I think he's been looking for a reason to have a go at him ever since he got fouled. Or Zaha and see now they're both going at it again. I think McTominay just told him to go away, please.
I love how they always cover their mouth, don't they?
They do now because they've been caught with on the old lip reading too much, haven't they? You're a moron. You're a moron, Connor. An absolute moron. See? Doesn't work.
What's he doing?
Crikey, that's a card, surely, for Zaha. You can't do that. He must have been booked. If he's not been booked and Martinez is still in the blinking book for disrobing a player, then that's pathetic and the ref has lost the game. He's lost it. He's got no control now. There's no consistency and this is where it goes wrong. He's literally had him in a headlock and pushed him. That is a foul all day long. And definitely
if they score from this now, we have been absolutely robbed. They haven't. But yeah.
Hang on. Back in it goes, and back out it goes, and back in it goes, and back out it goes. And there we go. That's that cycle over. And back in it goes. And out it goes. It's like hokey cokey.
Palace corner. I don't like the way this second half is shaped out, I've got to be honest.
Well, I mean, but time has flown by. I mean, that's half hour gone. And again, Palace haven't really pressured too much until this last few minutes. Let's try and get this corner out now.
Ooh, dear.
Oh, what a save again! David De Gea. Oh my gosh, that man. That was the squeakiest my voice has been for a long time. What a save that was. I thought that was in. I mean, it's closer to De Gea than I've given him credit for. He's not really made him work too hard, but he did have to get, just a good punch. To be fair, that's a save for the cameras. He's made that look better than it was.
Yeah.
I take back my squeakiness.
This is going to be a cagey last 15, this.
Well, they're pushing forward because they know they've got to. 1-0 is no good to them. In for a penny, in for a pound. What we need to do is to be able to get this ball away and counter. We've built for that with some of the speed that we've put up onto the pitch. But at the moment, it's all Palace. They are flooding forward. Got to repel them though, and they're not. It can be another cross. Oh my giddy aunt!
That's a bad tackle.
That's a free kick. Go on, lie down for a bit, roll on the floor. That's a good idea. Nice little turn in from Fernandez there. And it's McTominay again. This is what he does. He just works for a ball and then gets himself knocked out. He does put his body on the line, that boy. I feel he gets a bit of a bum rap, really. Does McTominay. I feel like he works hard always.
Sorry, I've been a bit distracted the last couple of minutes, just purely off the United game for a second. It's getting a bit feisty over there. Just been reading a few tweets from something that we've been sent in one of our chats that Coventry United women's side. Now, if you follow or know them, they've been in a lot of trouble. Well, and the men's side, to be fair. But I've just seen an interesting tweet. So they tweeted out saying that some players are leaving, and they did it one by one. They've announced a player that has left. She's then quote tweeted it saying, "This is news to me." So I don't know what's happened there. The club tweeting that the contract's been terminated. She doesn't seem to know anything about it and has tagged her agent in it. And
Blimey, you can't do that.
But somebody's just put in our chat that has spoke to somebody near them saying that she signed the contract. She did sign the termination, so she knew. But according to her Twitter, she clearly didn't. So I don't know what's happened there. Something's gone wrong. But yeah, I just got a bit distracted for a second there while I was reading that thread. Not sure what entirely's gone on there. We've got about 15 minutes left in this game anyway, so we're coming towards the end of this one, which is going to be a nervy last 10-15 minutes. I don't like it.
Well, I don't blame you, because that's kind of how I'm feeling about it at the minute. But we did say it was going to be tight. But don't forget, I said it was going to be a 2-0 win. So at some point, we'll get that second. So when did they put this tweet out?
A few days ago, I think. She's only quote tweeted it today. I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah, I think I see her.
Interesting. Oh, Ericsson ran into that a bit too.
Well, that is.
That's a nice retriever.
All right, mate. Crikey. Got me a bit worried there with that little cough there. Right. So, yeah, 10 minutes to go. And it's tense. But we said it was going to be a tight game, Connor. We did say that. Neither of us thought we were running away with it. The most important thing is that we've got the lead. It could still be 0-0. That would be worse.
It was. This just feels like a massive. If we're going to win the title, we've. Ooh. Oh no, Castle! That's the yellow card I was talking about.
Oh dearie me!
Oh,
he's made it all the way to 80 minutes, a flawless game, and that feels like a slip. And when I say a slip, I mean a slip literally on the pitch. And I think that's what Bruno's just gone over there and gone, for goodness sake, Cass, you knew you had to stay on your feet. And he knows it as well. They all know it. It wasn't meant to happen. It's a bad challenge, to be fair. You can't argue with it.
That's annoying me, that, because even if we win this now, I'm not going to come out of this thinking, oh, great. It's kind of...
I mean, it is annoying, but we do have other players. Ten Hag's not happy. Nobody's happy because that was a really silly thing. You could argue maybe he could have been the one to come off from McTominay rather than bringing off one of the forwards for it. But it's happened now. You know, let's not forget, everybody was worried when Roy Keane got sent off in 99, but that turned out all right. So, you know, we'll have to take that game when it turns up. We definitely need that second, though.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I think we would have had a chat, and we still might. You know, we still might go to Arsenal and beat them. But I think if you're going to go to Arsenal, the reason why we've been winning all these games is part of it. In the big games is Casemiro. You look at him in the game against Man City and everything else.
Don't forget, we got this man.
Well, who do you start now on Sunday?
This man.
Is it Fred and McTominay? Is that all we're going to have to go with to Arsenal? Because there's nobody else.
Well, why not Fred and Ericsson?
I wouldn't trust Fred as a solo GM personally.
Eric Head. Why not them?
Don't say that again.
Why? Eric Head.
Casemiro is on such a good game as well. He's had the most ball recoveries and everything else. But just someone should put there with all the experience Casemiro's got. That's a stupid challenge to make. I agree with that. You know, it's not like he's a young kid and things like that. It's just a stupid tackle to make.
But as I said at the beginning of this whole show, we have to get this win first. If we didn't have Casemiro and we're still sat here 0-0, it's no good to us. It's no good to us. We needed to have that goal. We've got it. We're ahead. And that's all we can do. You know, Arsenal will come around at the weekend and we'll deal with Arsenal at the weekend. For now, we just have to concentrate on this game and make sure we see it out. And that's the most important thing. The next 3 points is always the most important.
Have I just heard or read somewhere as well that Fred is 1 yellow away from a ban as well?
I mean, it's possible. It is possible. I mean, we definitely don't want him to get one as well. Otherwise, you know, we are... Then we're going down the Ericsson McTominay route. Ericsson. McErickson. Right, another little change here for Palace. I've got to be honest, none of these changes have really worried me massively. Will Hughes coming off. Milivojevic.
God, that's I've not seen him play for a while.
I was just going to say, he started well, didn't he? Had a great start to the season. I can remember Jeff Stelling struggling to begin with. But yeah, I haven't seen too much from him just yet. But 6 minutes to go, you'd hope, wouldn't you? You'd hope.
Well, that's the thing. It's all on getting 3 points in this game. The Arsenal game, obviously with the Casemiro ban, is kind of out of the question. Well, not out of the question, but we've got less chance now anyway. But that game, as you said earlier, you know, is pointless if we don't win this. So if we don't win this now in the last few minutes and Casemiro is out for Sunday, that's just a double blow now. So the silver line will be if we can get 3 points here.
But I do feel like you're sticking all the eggs into the Casemiro basket as if we can't win a football match without that one player. And we are still Man United. We are better than just one player.
No, but you look at... yes, sorry, I agree. But you look at how we've played without him and with him. It's like we're two different teams. And that's the worry for me. Someone just said to me, you know, this is where somebody else steps up. For sure, this is a big opportunity for someone else. We need McTominay to go on that run of form that he went on earlier in the season when he kept Casemiro out the side. That's what we need. We need McTominay to go back on that run again, which is what he's capable of doing. As we said, he did it at the start. He kept Casemiro out of this team. So if McTominay can do that, for sure, it's obviously it's a loss regardless of what you put in there. But
absolutely. Well, said it's going to be a bit of a tense ending. Bruno Fernandes there having a bit of an altercation.
Yeah, it is confirmed. Fred is also 1 yellow card away from a ban as well. So Fred also gets booked.
Well, we could do with that then. It's interesting watching this. Interesting watching, but don't be worried about it. That will come around. That's a different game. We can always sit Luke Shaw in centre mid.
He's played there for this game, to be fair.
Perhaps that's why Ericsson was going left back for a bit and telling Luke Shaw to go centre mid. He was thinking about, what do I do if Cass gets booked? So perhaps that's it. Luke Shaw stepping up into the centre mid role. One of the double pivots. What do you reckon?
I can't see that. If he does that and plays well, fair play to him. Because that really is the epitomising versatility right there. But crikey.
You could argue them. Right, come on. Here we go. Let's make it 2.
If we get the second, I can calm down and my heart rate can come back down there.
Oh, come on, Rashford. That's good. Help him out. Help him out.
Doesn't he need a goal as well to keep his record? And hasn't he scored in the last 6 or 7 or something?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to score if he wants to keep it going, and time is running out. Martinez could play there, but has he played there? I'm sure anyone could play there, but has he played there? Have we seen that?
He has done it in the previous clubs.
Okay, well, if he's done it for previous clubs, then yeah, maybe he could. But again, that's a bit of kick in the teeth, isn't it, for people like McTominay if you're going to stick a centre back and stick him in that position. So, got to trust the depth sometimes. This is a tense end to the game, Connor.
I will. Sorry, I've got to bring this up because we were talking about it earlier. I know we're in a tense part of the game here, but I just want to share my screen for a second because this has just come up on my.
What are you doing now? This is new.
Look at that picture.
Well, at least it's not the person who actually took the selfie. It's not his picture.
That's a cracking picture, that is. Casemiro is just like, who the hell are you?
That's unbelievable.
That is a great pass, whoever just played that over.
Didn't quite have the control, though, this time.
I don't know what the camera's doing again. It always does this.
Chance to get it back. Nicely won back there by Mr. Centre midfielder himself, Luke Shaw. Oh, he's even played about with the touches. It's a madness this man's on. Another great ball. Whip it in. No, he didn't get the connection. Goldie's like, thanks for that, mate.
Why is my camera out of focus here? What's going on? Ever since I've had my hair cut, it doesn't like to focus on my face for too long. It can't work out where my head is.
Probably trying to work out which one your head is. Does it start at the bottom of the hair or like another person up there?
Is it back in focus yet? I'm gonna have to turn my camera off and on here.
Well, that could be different. Right, minute to go.
There we go. I don't have the blur on anymore.
Back in HD.
Oh, is that Oh, I thought that was going to be a booking for Fred as well.
No, thankfully it was Shaw, if anybody. Nice little drag of the studs along the back there as well. This is not a good place for a free kick, Connor. I'm starting to get a little bit antsy myself now.
Yeah, it's... Oh, dear.
What are they doing? Right, we're into injury time. 4 minutes to go.
4 minutes. There's been a lot of subs, don't get me wrong, but isn't it 30 seconds for every, like... Well, it used to be 30 seconds for every 3.
Oh, my God. Well, that is just about everything that we didn't want to happen. You know, it's been a long time since we played a match where we've allowed ourselves to just disappear in this manner. And we've had chances. We've had chances to make this 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 way prior to this. And, you know, it all went downhill the minute Casemiro got that yellow card. It's as if they knew.
Well, this whole second half has been very poor from United. I don't know what the official stats are, but this whole second half has been horrendous from United.
The first.
We've had 3 attempts, 0 on target in the second half. It just shows you, doesn't it? We've been massively off it in the second half. Less possession, less shots obviously on target. We had none. We've had not a single shot on target this half.
But is that Palace just doing better, or is that us sitting back thinking we've got the lead now? We don't have to worry quite so much.
Palace have definitely come out better, but I think we've also been poor. I think that
we knew that they were going to come out better. That was the whole point. We said that. We said they're going to come out. That should have suited us, but we haven't done much counter-attacking at all, really.
I think we might still win it.
Come on.
We've still
We
got a
might
couple of minutes
still
to
to
win.
go yet, but have to.
I thought he was going to hit that then, Bruno, but he hasn't.
So did I.
That looked offside to me.
Well,
He's not, but we got a corner.
Right, minute and a half to go. Bruno's got to get this. He's got to beat the first man.
I swear, if this is the first man after what we were saying earlier.
Nice little Cass header would be brilliant.
Oh, how's that gone through?
Beating everybody.
That's a hit.
Oh, what? Right, the goalie.
I don't even want to stay on after. We're full-time hits now. I don't even want to talk about the game.
Was that Casemiro who went in with a diving header?
I think it was.
It was, I said Cass with the head, and it's hit his knee. It's hit his knee. He was there, virtually unmarked. He just had to get a decent contact to it, and it's hit his knee. That's
good little pullback from Fred. Bruno, it's the wrong idea.
See, the thing is, we've shown more fight in the last 2 minutes than we have done for the entire half. Because now we're having to chase the game again. I always find it annoying that we can find this extra gear when something goes wrong.
Oh, Fred. Don't bring him down. Don't you get booked as well. Oh, in fact, no, you should have brought him down. Wambus, that's a fantastic tackle.
Brilliant tackle. But that's going to be it. Shifting it around the back there. Clearly no rush.
See, that's the right ball, but that's where you want Bruno. Shifting him out to the right, it has just killed our attacking threat because you've not got Bruno or Ericsson down the middle anymore. Oh, dear. It's just on not losing this game now.
Yeah, but the annoying thing is a draw is as bad as a loss with the situation that we're in.
Well, I think that ends the title talk. I've got to be honest. I think people
certainly does now.
But as I did say on the show the other week, we're not even halfway through the season yet. We've still got. Well, no, I think we are now. Are we officially now halfway through?
Yeah, this is our 19th game. So it puts us halfway through the season. And don't get me wrong, Arsenal are still within reach. Arsenal have not had their bad patch yet. But the drama about all of this is that they haven't had their bad patch, but we've got to play them Sunday. We've got to beat them, and now we've got to beat them without Casemiro because he's out of it. I don't know. I think we've tried to rest some players maybe a bit too early there, bringing off the likes of Anthony and people that were giving us good attacking threats. I don't know. Maybe we should have started with Malacia and Shaw.
That was the key, wasn't it? I think if you're going to take the yellow card from Casemiro, you've got to, we said it on here, you've got to go and win the game from there because we've weakened ourselves, albeit it's one player, we've weakened ourselves for Sunday and also drop points. So it's that's why I said we've got to go and win it. And
it was a silly free kick and all, and that's the thing. It's got shades of the United women match against Spurs. Just, like a last-minute free kick. We've had chances to win it. You can see Ten Hag's not happy. He's feeling probably just as bad as we are.
I mean, in the thing for the top four, it's an improvement on last season. If you want to take a thing from there, we lost it last season, didn't we? So it's an improvement there. Let's get John back in here, and we'll have a chat with John.
Have you still got your mug, Johnny K? Is it still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
The mug, is it still there, or have you launched it against the wall?
Oh no, it's by the sink, so
it's all right.
Well out of arm's way anyway. So yeah, it's a gut wrench to that, but you have to say it's a brilliant free kick though. In fairness, it's
it is.
It's Shastrin blow and that, but comes down to we didn't play well in the second half. I said half time continue the way we are doing in the way we played in the first half. We just didn't, and we let them come into it. Yeah, so I'm not a fan of blaming the decision or that. I thought it was a penalty on McTominay, but so you still got to manage the game and all that. But I mean, the Casemiro booking was it wasn't. I think he had to make a tackle, but I think the way he made the tackle, almost like scissors, chopping him to the ground. That wasn't right thing to. If he just like clipped him or something, might have got away with it. But yeah, it's a killer. But it's part and parcel of being a football fan. The highs of Saturday, the lows of today. Hopefully, we bounce back against Arsenal. So we can do it. We've had disappointment this season and that, and we have usually bounced back from it. So hopefully, we'll do the same on Sunday.
I was going to say, for you, what me and Barry were debating all second half what was going wrong, because as I said there, we didn't have a single shot on target until the Garnacho kind of hit and hope towards the end. What do you think changed? What went wrong for you? Because we made the changes, didn't really make an impact. Nothing seemed to work in that second half at all, apart from the penalty, which, by the way,
I think maybe it was. I mean, Palace did make a few changes. They upped their performance. They didn't really have that many chances, did they? It wasn't sustained pressure. It's like you're always at risk when you're 1-0 down of conceding the equaliser, but it wasn't like, I mean, it took a worldie of a free kick to, draw them level, but it wasn't like it. I know they made a couple of saves, but it wasn't like we were under constant pressure. But for me, it was like we didn't go for the second goal enough. If you did get the second goal, you win that game, in my opinion. We just slacked off. Maybe tiredness crept in because we have played a lot of games now. Obviously, Ten Hag made changes. All that tries to freshen it up. But, you can point it to many reasons, but the performance wasn't there second half.
What about for yourself and Andrew? What the hell went wrong in that set? I was sat here thinking this is a good performance away at Palace at half time, and it just fell apart that second. I don't really want to talk about the non-penalty because that just seems like we're making excuses. Other than that, we didn't have and again, that Casemiro chance at the end, me and Barry were saying on here. Why did we then start going for it again? Oh, now we're drawing. We need to go for it again. We should have been like that for me from the start of the second half, no?
I thought the Casemiro yellow card was going to be the only disappointment of the night. Clearly, I wasn't going to be the only. It's so annoying and deflating. I mean, first off, the way we started, just the press as well. We were pressing for them. I mean, Palace had their moments too. I mean, De Gea, that first half save, I thought over the years the saves he's made for us, I thought that's up there with him. And then second half, I'm like, it seemed a little bit off the pace, and like, I don't know whether to say, tiredness was creeping in. I just think then Casemiro got, and you just see Ten Hag's face, I think that was everywhere. All of us at home going, yeah, didn't need that. And he was about to come off as well. That was the more annoying thing. And then, I don't know, it's just, I thought at the end, always Casemiro saved us, and I actually thought, he might have just handled it, and then the replay showed it just hit off his thigh. But I thought, if he'd have scored that would have been a great, even though I didn't miss the Arsenal game, he'd have grabbed us all 3 points. It's just, I don't know, when it's always 1-0, there's always a chance for the opposition to, get back in it. And Palace have been our bogey team in recent years as well, and I thought for the majority of the game, we kept him at bay, and
It's played up until that free kick, that goal. It was a good away performance in terms of that. It's a tough place to go to. We didn't play well, but ultimately it's a sucker punch that we didn't go for the second. But it wasn't like if we won 1-0 and ground out the result, you would have had a tough, good win away at Palace, and you got to be gritty to get a result. Palace, unfortunately, wasn't good enough, but it is what it is, and you move forward to Sunday now.
Well, that's what. Oh, go on.
Palace's goal. Look, that Palace goal. Look, the free kick. It was excellent. If one of United players had scored that, you'd be like lauding it. Give the Palace player all his due. He got it in the back of the net.
But isn't the annoyance about that is the fact that we've conceded the free kick in that position at that time in the match? You know when you hit 90 minutes, you've got to be careful at the back, and that's the time when people are just so taken by the amount of time left, and they're so pumped up trying to keep it in. They make those silly challenges, and that stupid challenge there has led to a free kick, which, albeit brilliant free kick, nobody's taken that away from them, but by giving them that opportunity, it's like we're just constantly harming ourselves by doing things like that. And like I said earlier, it's been a while since we did that was.
But you could argue then if he doesn't make the tackle, then they're through on goal anyway. So are we based off that free kick? If he misses it, and we'd say it's a good decision, So I personally think you got to take. Stu's obviously a centre half. Stu will, as a centre half, will make a tackle there, stop them going through, and that you worry about if he scores a worldie like he did. He scores a worldie, you can't do anything about it.
That's what I mean. I don't think the free kick. I don't think any of us are sat here saying that shouldn't. That's just a one in a minute. He's never going to hit a free kick like that again in his life.
Exactly, it had to be inch perfect to go in. And sometimes you just got to say, well, it is what it is. It's unlucky. It's like in that type of. It's not like perfect place, but he's just gone to belt and he comes off the bar, and that it just happens, doesn't it? So it's unfortunate, but anyway, it is what it is.
I think. Sorry, I've got to stop you. We've got a WWE living legend in the chat. What's going on?
Wow.
But I mean,
he's a real American,
Well, he's actually saying that Anthony should have been subbed to it. I just want to get to a couple of these comments, and I'll come back to both of you in a second. Callum is saying, disappointing second half. Casemiro yellow so unnecessary. 2 points dropped, and the ban is a really bad night. Yeah, like I said, it's not just the points dropped; it's the Casemiro, obviously, for Sunday, as we've been spoken about. Stu's talking about it happens from the bits I saw Palace stuff, because Palace did play better in the second half. There's no denying that, but I think we should have been a better side to adapt to seeing what they're doing. It's always hard to Palace away. As I said earlier, it's an improvement on last season. So if you're looking at it in that context,
I don't want to bang the same drum again, Connor, but you know me, I don't like to agree with John Commode too much in one day. And I've just been looking at it. You're talking about he needs to make a challenge. He absolutely doesn't. Go back.
Which one are you on about? Are you on about the free kick that scored?
The free kick we just conceded that's made everyone feel like, it's the end of the world and the title challenge is over after feeling so giddy. Because the challenge is made from behind when it doesn't need to be. And we've got, I think it's Martinez covering. So we've got somebody there. We didn't need to get the foot in where we did. We brought a player down in a really silly position, and then the free kick goes for the goal.
Yeah.
And it's just that little bit of communication. We've got ourselves a little bit, as they said, Stu says, a little bit giddy. And now all of a sudden we're sat here with a 1-1 draw. Whereas actually, if we'd have just continued with the calm play that we were doing, we've panicked. And as a result, we've lost 2 points.
Yeah.
I was going to say, compared to when that last football, because we were away at Palace on the last day of last season, compared the team from then to now, you can see the improvement. Yeah, it's disappointing, the 1-1 draw, but I knew when Ten Hag was coming in, it was like, as he begins to change things, there's going to be bumps in the road. This is just another bump along the road. I'd like to say, it's all a part of the progress. Just felt like we should have got all three, but landed up with one. At least we didn't land up with, because Palace were pushing at the end as well to get a winner, so we could have landed up with nothing. So we could have.
I think this feels worse, doesn't it? Because of after the City game, I think a lot of fans, and me included, thought we'd push on from that. I didn't think. Well, I was confident with Casemiro that we'd have a chance against Arsenal, but I thought after City we'd kick on from that. Now let's go and beat Palace. Let's go and put a performance against Arsenal, and we're really in this. Because with the amount of games me and Barry spoke about this throughout the show, the amount of games we've got over the next, however many we've got, almost 2 games a week for the foreseeable. We're going to lose points somewhere. I didn't think this would be the one that we drop points. I thought it would be further down, like another away game, kind of in 3 or 4 weeks' time. It just seems like we've got to the start of this tough run. Yeah, we beat City, great. And then we drew the next one. It's like, right, this will be well, it's not fine. But if we go, this is all ifs and hypotheticals, but if we go and beat Arsenal on Sunday, this result is kind of forgotten. Because it's like, okay.
Well, I made the point that for me, I looked at City, Arsenal and the Palace games. If you gave me 7 points from those games, I would have taken it. And for me, if we won that game, a draw at Arsenal wouldn't have been a bad result. Now all of a sudden it looks like it feels that, like, almost like a defeat now. And the City game felt on a real high. But like you say, if we do get a result at Arsenal, it's not a bad result. And the way the league is going this season, these kind of points will be lost. City have dropped points, they'll continue to drop points. Arsenal will probably drop a few points at some point. You have to remember that Arsenal and City still have to play each other twice after the game on Sunday. So you just so for me, it's tough tonight. It feels hard. It does feel like a loss almost, but you got to pick yourself up. Can you go to Arsenal and get a result? Yes, you can. It'll be hard. It'll be very difficult.
It is. I think it's one of those where it's a bit tough as we look at the game, because we think, we're 8 points behind now. Obviously, if we'd have won this, we'd have been 6 points behind, and Arsenal have the game in hand. I think the bit that was frustrating for me was that we could have got to the point of the weekend where if we get a win against Arsenal, we're 3 points behind them. Yes, they've got a game in hand, but all of a sudden it's a little bit more squeaky bum for them. Man City are 8 points behind them as well. They've not really had anybody on their tail. So you get to a point where you beat them, then you're going to hope that they're going to start going to some of these games with a little bit of pressure on them, and they've got a chance to drop it. Now, if we do get the win, it's still a 5 point gap, and a 5 point gap mentally is two losses, not the one loss that it would have been.
Arguably, you could say if you won tonight, drawn at Arsenal, it would be 6 points. So, but if we draw tonight and beat Arsenal, it's 5 points. So you can argue it.
Fair point.
So for me,
good argument, John Commode. I like that. Well done.
Yes.
You're nice. What's going on here? We can't have him staying on if he's going to start doing that. It's outrageous behaviour. Get rid of him. We can't. Only joking, John. I know.
No, I get your point. I'm disappointed, but sometimes you don't necessarily have to win every game and that. And for me, before this Palace game came in, if you offered me 4 points from City and Arsenal games, I would have taken it. Then they obviously put the Palace game in between both games, and that's obviously makes it difficult. We've got. Well, even if we remain unbeaten, that's something, isn't it? If it gives some momentum going, and the Arsenal game will be tough in that. But the disappointment of tonight might just bring the team on to perform extra. It means, we are missing Casemiro, but if he is going to bring McTominay in, that might make him more determined to perform on Sundays, so we might be better for it. So you just don't know. I don't think Casemiro started the first game we played Arsenal. We won 3-1, didn't we? So it just it's not impossible. It'll be tough, but you can still get a result at Arsenal.
And it's a fair point. I was just going to say.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
I was just going to say Jarvis had made a good point. And none of us 6 months ago were thinking we were going to win the title. So we are, it's just a bit of wishful thinking.
But aren't we a point above Newcastle now, though? Aren't we third?
We're third, yeah, point above.
Yeah, we're third, yeah.
So,
but yeah, this one. So the Hulkster wants to talk about Anthony. He's hulking up. What do you want to say about him? I know you said that he should have been subbed earlier. Are we gonna? He had that brilliant little shot that nearly dipped in. But what was your thoughts on Anthony? You two?
Well, I say he was okay. Obviously, I one attempt on the goal. But I mean, obviously there was that disagreement with Bruno as well, because I think Anthony attempted the pass and Fernandes was already in an offside position, so Fernandes thought, I'm not going to make an attempt to run it on it. And obviously you can see the disagreement was evident on the pitch, and obviously Anthony looked more annoyed by it. But when Fernandes scored, obviously Anthony and Bruno hugged it out, so clearly the disagreement was over by then. But yeah, Anthony, he did okay. Since the World Cup, he's just been okay. He's not, his form's not. He needs to get a bit better. Start contributing a bit more now. So, but hopefully, against Arsenal, we'll see that as well if he does start.
Right, he scored against Arsenal in the home game, didn't he? So hopefully we see some kind. Because I don't think, again, I said this on a previous show, I don't think he's been bad. I just don't think he's been good either. He's just been 5s and 6s out of 10 most games. And I think it's the price tag that is annoying people with Anthony. We paid so much for him, obviously a Ten Hag signing. I think people expected a lot more from him. And me
also
included,
not every player's going to jump in and hit the ground running, are they?
No,
but he did.
Some of them need time to get in.
He did. I think that's the false expectation, wasn't it? He came in and scored obviously against Arsenal, went on that 3-game scoring run in the league. We all thought, oh, what a player we've got on our hands here. And since, as Andrew said, since the World Cup, he's not really come back and done much. I know he scored a goal or two, but he's not really had the same impact as we thought we'd see from him. It's a bit hit and miss, isn't it? That's why I said he's not been bad. I just don't think he's been good either.
He's had a bit on and off season. I think he's only played like 13, 14 games or something. Because he came in late, obviously. Then he got injured. He missed the few weeks leading up to the World Cup, and then he's obviously been on and off again. Obviously had an incident, around New Year, about a couple of weeks ago with a car crash and that. But he hasn't had the easiest. So and it's also worth noting, I know players like Casemiro and Anthony didn't have a pre-season with us either. And that it's important to factor that in. I know, Casemiro's been brilliant, but it even took him a month to get used to the style and everything, and that he didn't hit the ground running straight away. And same with, Anthony. He's been a bit hit and miss at times, but I'm not too worried at this moment with him.
It's one of those, isn't it? I don't think it's. It feels we've never really done. We're not really one for match reactions right when the game finishes, because you get this kind of. Well, it is my instant how I am and how we are straight after games. I think I'll be more rational, in what I say tomorrow or a day after or something like that. Talk about United at the moment. It just feels really hard.
I'd be interested to know, in terms of looking at the fixtures last season, this season, how many points we've actually gained compared to the comparative fixtures last season, because you can look at the City and we gained 3 points based on last season. We've actually gained a point at Palace compared to last season, haven't we? So it's just it's interesting, the points for points comparison, but we are on course to what did we get, 58 points season. You'd think with the points we've accumulated that we should hopefully get at least 70 odd, and that will put us in a good position for top 4. So for me,
John, that feels like homework for you. I think we're going to set.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
That's your job. Next time we see you on here, I'm expecting to know the answer to that question.
Well, they said that with Speeds and Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, and City at home this season, it's the first time we've done that since 2010, 2011.
No, it's not all bad. It just feels it at the moment because it's straight after the game and it's a late goal and it's Casemiro's booking. It just feels a lot worse than it probably actually is.
We're still going to beat Arsenal, lads. It's all right.
Don't worry. You got to be positive in that. They're not unbeaten because we beat them, but Arsenal can be beaten on their day. It'll be tough, and we don't have the best form. But I think Ten Hag is the type of manager who'll be like, after the City game, he's like, yeah, you've won a brilliant game, lads, but let's focus. Okay, we dropped points today, but the lads will be disappointed tonight, but tomorrow Ten Hag will be like, right, come on, lads, this game to look forward to now. It's a tough test, and hopefully we'll bounce back, and we'll see how it goes.
And don't forget, Arsenal don't have Miedemar or Mead, so we got a chance.
Exactly.
He got that in there right at the end.
I saw something that we'll be playing in that green yellow. We'll be wearing that dreaded kit with a picture of the Brentford game. It's like you do realise we've actually won the rest of that with the women this season. So,
well, it's meant to be, lads. It's meant to be.
Exactly.
We shall see. We'll be back on Friday for the Arsenal review show. Yeah, I think we should wrap it up there, especially more so for Barry than anything, because he's done back-to-back shows. This has been going for 2 hours, 25 minutes. Barry's also done another hour show on the women's channel as well, with these two guys as well. So we've done a lot of content for All for United. Yeah, it's a disappointing one tonight. We move on, as these guys have come on and said. It's bad at the moment, but it's not the end of the world. We will move on to Arsenal.
No, well, let's be clear. We are 10 matches unbeaten, aren't we? So it's disappointing after that, but we are still 10 unbeaten. So
we didn't lose top 4. Let's be honest, we could be Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm getting spammed by my mate who's a Liverpool fan. I'm like, you are in no position to talk right now. Like, at least if my Arsenal mate starts banting me, I'm like, okay, I can take that. I'm not taking it off you. I've got my Chelsea. It's past 10 o'clock. I swear now. I've got my Chelsea and bloody Liverpool mate coming at me. I was like, mate, you're barely in the top half. Like, I don't know what you're coming after me for. But there we are.
Rob, is it?
No, this is from mates from school. This is.
Oh, really? Yeah.
My football group chat, which is called Martinelli Ball at the moment, which needs changing.
Right. Well, hopefully we'll deal with that on Sunday, won't we? So, But,
exactly.
Yeah.
But yes, Jarvis, yes, we'll be back on Friday at, I don't know what time. It'll be 8:30-ish. But it'll either be 8, 8:30, or 9. One of those time slots.
Just sit on YouTube between 8 and 9.
I don't think it'll be 8 o'clock on them, because there'll be a women's show at 7 o'clock. So
that might be shorter due to the guest situation.
Oh, right.
But there we are. But yeah, it'll be something like that.
Well, you need some tea, Connor, though. You need some tea, so
I haven't before. I had to do it today. I had to just eat it.
Give yourself a break before a proper break between the shows.
Breaks between the shows, they're for wusses.
I know Barry's done back-to-back.
Stop, 10 minutes later, they're on, ready to go.
Yeah,
just a shirt change.
Indeed. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there because we'll be here all night otherwise. If you're not already, make sure you're following the new Twitter, by the way. It's at All for United TV. It will be at All for United soon. But that is the new Twitter handle. The old Twitter account, if you're still following that, will be changed into something else in the next kind of few weeks. So make sure you're following the new Twitter account at All for United TV. That will be in the description as well. Make sure you are liking the video and subscribing. If you are new around here, make sure you're following these 3 guys as well. You'll be seeing much more of these 3 across both All for United channels in the next few weeks, I'm sure. But for now, we shall wrap it there and see you in the next one.